Καλά στους Χριστούς.
Βοηθός ο Θεός ημών πάντοτε και στους αιώνας των αιώνων. Αμήν. Φίλησαν αυτούς τους προσευχείς που δώσεις τους εκτελετές, τους άκους όλες τις δικαιοσύνης σου και ρίσε στις πείσης και τα κολυμπήσεις. Ότι ούτε και αυτές τους νότιών σου πάζω ονόματα και δύο εξωτερικός και την κατέβω συγκλουσίου του Θεού, κάθες έξω στο παιδί σου μικρού σου όλους. Η κυρία με το πνεύμα με μία ταράκρη τα οποία με γνήστη και μια ώρα θέλαμε να τις εμπάστης έξω από την πάντα του δώσου ηλέκτρο. Διαπέτασα προσέτας και τους κύλους γέρου ως κακής άκουσον και ρευσέφη το πνεύμα μία τους τρέψει το πρόσωπο τους, που είναι το βιωτήσω για τις καραβέλους του Ιουσλάκου. Ακουστώ και εις όλο το πέπλο Θεός του Χριστίνους, αγόρισον τον Κύριο Πόνον, χορέψον την προσέγγιση της επίνου. Έξελμε τον εχθρό, Κύριε προσεκατεύω, είναι αξιόλογο και θερμάψου ο Θεός που προτέβα στα καθόλου να μιλήσει με την ευθεία. Ένα και είναι το όνομα σου, Κύριε, ζήσεις με την δικαιοσύνη σου, εξάξε, επιτύψε του Αιγείου και του ελέγχου. Εξολουθρέξου εχθρού και απολύς πάντας αυτή το και εγώ του ζωή. Θεός Κύριος και επέφανε ημίν, ευλογημένος σου επόμενος εν ονόματι Κυρίου.
Θεός Κύριος και επέφανε ημίν, ευλογημένος σου ερχόμενος εν ονόματι Κυρίου.
Θεός Κύριος και επέφανε ημίν, ευλογημένος σου ερχόμενος εν ονόματι Κυρίου.
Η Θεοτόκο εκτενώς νύχτος δράμωμεν, αμαρτωλή και ταπεινή και προσφέσομεν, εν μετανία κράζοντες εν βάθος ψυχής, δέσποινα βοήθησον εθνίνες πλαθνήσα, σπέσον απολύμεθα υποπλήσου θεσμάτων, μη αποστρέψεις τους δούλους σου καινούς, σε και μόνη ελπίδα και κτήμεθα.
Όσο ψάχνει και το όνομα, επειδή ο κοινός να μην είναι από τις αμαρτίες κατάρρες όλων, ότι ήταν εγώ το δρόσο που τον ακτήμενο πλώνες και διαθανώσεις μονοήμαρτων και το πολυγόνιμο βιώνους του επίλυση όπως άμετη και χρήση του κόλλης του ποινικές συλλογικοιναστές, μη του κανονομίες σε δίθουν και αμαρτίες εκεί σε σέμια ημίτου, μη του κατακτηργάψα τα άβυλα και τα πρίφια της οποίας του πυροσάρτης. Πλαντιείς με εισόδου και καθαριστείς με πληρίσμια και υπέχει όλα να χαρακτήσουν αγωγείς με γαλλίαση και εγκροσύνη. Αγαδιάσονται ως διάρκεια απεινωμένα απόσταση το πρόσωπό σου από τον αμαρτιών και πάσα στα σελοβία του εξάλληψου. Καρδίαν καθαρά καθίσουν ενίο Θεός και πνεύμα και συγκέντρησουν σε γάδου. Μία απορρίψεις με από την προσώπους και το πνεύμα στο άλλο, μία ταβένας απαιμού απόδοση στην αγαλία του σωτηρίου σου. Και πνεύμα διαιμονικό στηριξών, με δάξον όμως εσωδούς του. Και σε βήσε επιστρέψει του ειδήσει, ελεξιμάτων τη γλώσσα του Θεού τη σωτηρίας μου. Αγκαλιάσετε η γλώσσα μου την δικαιοσύνη σου. Κύριε τα χείλη μου αλήξει, το στόμα μου αναγερεί την ένεσή σου. Ότι η θέση σα, θυσία είναι το καάνολο, καυτώματα, όχι ευλογήσεις. Θυσία το Θεό πνεύμα συντεθειμένο με καρδία, συντεθειμένη και καταδεινωμένη του Θεού, που εξουδενώσει. Αγάπη είναι κοινή και ευδοκία στην ισχυρό του Προδομητή, τα τύχη Ιερουσαλήμ, τότε ευδοκήσεις. Θυσία και οσύνη αναφορά και το καυτώματα, το τερίσου και θυσία τελειώνει του κόσμου. Κύριε Λέησον, ότι Άγιος είναι ο Θεός ημών και εσύ την δόξα να αναπέμπουμε, το Άγιο και το Υιό και το Αγίο Πνεύμα, και εις τους αιώνας των αιώνων.
Είναι ευαίσθη ο καιρός ο πάντας αγιάζων και ο δικαιός μας αναμένει κριτής. Αλλά επιθέψον ψυχή προς μετάνοια, ως υπόμικρα τους ασυντάκριση, Κύριε ελεησόν με.
Παναγία Θεοτό,
Και καθένε το κοινωνιμόν τα έργα τα κρετήμα,
και συγχώρηση το θεσμάδο ημονέτησε, εν το ψάλινι μας τον αγγέλων των ύμνων.
Άγιος ο Θεός, Άγιος Κύριος, Άγιος ο Δάκτυλος ελέησον ημάς. Άγιος ο Θεός, Άγιος εις χειρόν, Άγιος ο Θάνατος ελέησον ημάς. Άγιος ο Θεός, Άγιος εις χειρόν, Άγιος αθάνατος, ελέησον τα Πατρί και Υιό και Αγίο Πνεύματι.
Και δι και αεί και εις τους αιώνας των αιώνων.
Άγιος αθάνατος, ελέησον ημάς. Άγιος ο Θεός, Άγιος και Κύριος, Άγιος αθάνατος, ελέησον ημάς. Κύριε φωτισμόν και σωτήρ μας, Κύριος υπερασπιστής της ζωής μου, προς Εβραίους επιστολής Παύλου του ανάγνωσμος, αδελφοί ο αγιάζουν και αγιαζόμενοι έξω πάντες, την αιτία μου κατεσκήνεται αδελφούς από τους καλήν λέγω, απαγγελώ το όνομά σου της αδελφής μου εν μέσω εκκλησίας συνήθωσε, και πάλι εγώ έσομαι πεπιστός επ' αυτό, και πάλι ιδού εγώ και τα παιδιά αμυνιέδωκεν ο Θεός, επίουν τα παιδιά και κοινώνει και σαρκός και ξεμάτων και αυτός παραθυνησίος, μετέσχε τον αυτόν είναι δια του θανάτου καταργήσει τον το κράτος έκπλουκα του θανάτου, του τέστην των διάβολων, και απαλλάξει τούτους, όσοι φόβο θανάτου διαπαντός του λινένοχης αντουλίας, που γαρδί που αγγέλων επιλαμβάνεται, αλλά σπέρματος Αβραάμ επιλαμβάνεται, όθεν όφιλε, κατά πάντα της αδελφής ομοιοτήνε, ή να ελεήμων γέννητε και πιστός αρχιερεύστα προς τον Θεό, πιστοηλάς Χριστέ τελαμαρτίας του λαού, ενώ εφετεύμον αυτούς πειραστηνείς, δύναται της πειραζομένης βοήθησε.
Σοφία ότι ακούσαμε του Αγίου Ευαγγελίου ειρήνη πάση.
Το πνεύμα Χριστό.
Κατά Ιωάννην Αγίου Ευαγγελίου του ανάγνωστα, ακούσαμε.
Χριστός Κύριε, δόξα σε.
Και ευρεχήμανε τους Ιεροσόλυμα, έστι δε της Ιεροσολύμης επί την προβατική, κολυμβίδρα, η επιδεδομένη εβραϊστή λιπτεσδά, πέντες το ασέντουσα, εντάφτες κατέβει το πλήθος πολίτων ασθενούντων, κυκλών, πολλών, ξηρών, εκδεχομένων την πλίδατος κίνηση, άγγελων κατά καιρόν κατέβαινε την κολυμβίδρα και ετάνασε το εγώ. Τον πρόξενε βάθετάντρα την πλίδατος, η γη σε δίνετο, οδήποτε κακήκετο νοσήματι.
Δόξα σε Κύριε, δόξα σε.
Με τις άρθρες της σωτηρίας των συγχώρημων του Κυρίου Δεϊθώμε, υπέρ της ειρήνης του σύμπαντος κόσμου, ευσταθίας των Αγίων του Θεού Εκκλησιών και της των πάντων ενώσεως του Κυρίου Δεϊθώμε, υπέρ του Αρχιεπισκόπου και Πατριάρχου Ορθοδομένου του Κυρίου Πρεσβυτερίου της εν Χριστώ Διακονίας παντός του Κυρίου και του λαού του Κυρίου Δεϊθώμε,
Κύριε ελέησον.
μεν το ευσύγους φωνές τους πάσης αρχής και εξουσίας εν το κράτη ημών και πεταξιδάν θάλασσαν και αέρας λοπρίστου ημών στρατού του Κυρίου Δεϊθώμεν.
Κύριε ελέησον.
Εν σχόλιος ταύτης της νήσου ταύτης του Ιερού Πατριαρχικού Ιδρύματος του Διευθυντού των Ιερών Μελών αυτού και των πάσης πόλεως και πόρας και των πιστικών των εναυτές του Κυρίου Δεϊθώμεν. Υπεργρασίας αέρων εφορίας των καρπών της γης και καιρών ειρηνικών του Κυρίου Δεϊθώμεν. Υπερπλεόντων, οδηγών των κανόν των εκμαλώτων και της σωτηρίας αυτών του Κυρίου Δεϊθώμεν. Υπεργοίας την εννοή των κουτών, τη δυνάμει και εκτιτής και ενεργεία του Αγίου Πνεύματος του Κυρίου Δεϊθώμεν. Υπέρ την κατακτήσε το είδατη τούτο την καθαρτική της περιουσίας διάδοση ενέργεια του Κυρίου Δεϊθώμεν. Σου γενέστε το είδο τούτο ιαματικών ψυχών και σωμάτων και πάσης αντικειμένης δυνάμεως αποτρεπτικών του Κυρίου Δεϊθώμεν. Υπέρ του κατατεκτήνε αυτό την χάρη της απολυτρώσεως στην ευλογία του Ιορδάνου του Κυρίου Δεϊθώμεν. Του εμπάρκων προφητισόντων της παρακοθρού βοηθείας και αντιλήψεως του Κυρίου Δεϊθώμεν. Του φωνιστήνε άσημο της γνώσεως δια της ομοουσίου τριάδος του Κυρίου δεηθόμεν. Όπως ο ομοιώσιμον να δείξει μάσιμους και κληρονόμους της βασιλείας αυτού, δια της πλήτατος που του μεταλήψεως τερκεραντισμού του Κυρίου δεηθόμεν. Στην εμάς από πάσης λήψεως ορκίστην δίνου και ανάγκης του Κυρίου δεηθόμεν. Αν διάκουσον ελέησον και διαφύλαξον ημάς ο Θεός της η χάρητη. Της Παναγίας Ακράτου περιλογημένης, περιδόξου της τιμής ημών Θεοτόκου και αϊπαρτεύτανιας με τα μάρκου των Αγίων εικονεύσαντες, με αυτούς και Αγίους και πάσαν την ζωητικών Χριστό το Θεό παραβόμεθα. Πρέμιση, πάσα δόξα, τιμή και προσκύνηση στο Πατρί και το Υιό και το Αγίο Πνεύμα την γλυκαία είτε εις τους αιώνας των αιώνων. Κύριε ο Θεός, μόνο μέγα στιγμή και θαυμαστός της έθνης, ο πάσης ορατίστε και ανάπτυξης δημιουργός, ο φυλάσσον την διαθήκη σου και το έλεος σου, τις αγαπώσεις και κλείσει τα αποστάγματα, ο πάντων τον ενανάγκησε δυνάπων στα επόμενος δάκρυα, για κάτω το παραγγέγοντα στην δούλου μορφή, κούφασμα συνημάς ακτινατούμενος, αν γύραν το σώμα και λεπτείο ρεύων και λέγω. Είδε, υγιείς γέγοναν και κέτε μάθανε, αλλά και εκπηλούς όντως του θανιούς εκάσου και λείψασε και λέψασε. Το φως υπήσε παρασκεύασης λόγω, όταν στον αρτίον παθών σπηράδα στράτων και την προβή του του ελμυρά θάλασσα περαστήλα και τα τώρα των λιμωγών κατευνάσα στήματα, αυτό σου φιλάντη παιδεσιλέ, οδούς μην χελοφεγόφωτο φορέσει στο ήρεξ στρατός του πνεύματος και δια της πλήτατος του μεταλήψεως και τυρατισμού της είναι ευλογία μην κατάπληξη του ίδιου του βαθόρατος δίους του. Λέτε έσχοτα δεόματα, επίσκεψε ημών αγαθέτην ασθένεια, κυρίασε ημών πλασινός, κοιτήστε και σώματος του ελέους. Πρεσβείες του Παναγράμμου, δεσπίνης ημών Θεοτόκου και ευλογδένου Μαρίας, δυνάμει του μήκης ευλογιούς σταυρού, που σε εσείς του μήνων πρανίων, δυνάμει να σωμάτων, του μήνων δόξου καθώς προβόμουν και βατούς του Ιωάννου, των Αγίων δόξων και επανεκρίνων Αποστόλων, των Αγίων δόξων και καλλινίκων Μαρτύρων, των Οσίων και Θεοφόρων Πατέρων ημών, των Αγίων και Ερκαίων Θεοπατώρων, των Αγίων Θεάνες, του Αγίων δόξου και καλλινίκου Μάρτυρος Νέστορος, και μνήμη εκτελούνται. Λύση του Κύριε Πάσης επισκοπής ορθοδόξων των Ορθοδομούντων και λόγω της εξελικτρίας και παντός του μοναχικού τάγματος και επισωτηρίας και τόνων. Λύση του Κύριε των Μισούντων και αγαπώντων των διαπολίτων αντεπιστολικών, των παιδιαιστώτων και των διευλόγους ευθείας απολυθέντων και των ενδυναμένων μήνυ της αναξής έρχεστε από αυτόν. Λύση του Κύριε και των ευμαλωσία και κλήψης των αδελφών και λέει στους αυτούς και εμάς κατά τη μέρα σου έλεος πάσης ανάγκης βιώνους. Ότι σε όλο το κράτος και σου έσυνε η βασιλεία και η δύναμη και η δόξα του Πατρός και του Υιού και του Αγίου Πνεύματος νύχια και εις τους αιώνας των αιώνων. Αμήν. Πάση. Το πνεύμα της. Ας το χαλάσει μόνο το Κύριο κλείνομαι. Κύριε μου, φίλοι πάξος, μου φαντάρει παπιστήκατε εξάμενους και γιάσατε τα είδα και ευλόγησου πάντας ημάς που σε Χριστούς του αυτόν αυτήν σημαίνοντας την ιδίαση πρόσφυγα. Και καταξίωση ημάς απεστήρια του εργασμού στη διαθυσμίδωτος του μεταλήψεων και δυναμισμού και γενναίες του ημί Κύριε, εις υγεία ψυχής και σώματος. Σίγα φιλοσμός των ψυχών σωμάτων μου, Χριστέου Θεός και συμβουλόξαν να απέμπομαι σε το ανάρχο του Πατρί και του Παναγίου και αγαθό και σωπίος πνεύματι, νυν και αη, εις τους αιώνας των αιώνων. Αμήν. Σώσον Κύριε των λαών σου και ευλογήσον την κληρονομιά σου. Δικαστής βασιλεύσει κατά βαρβάρων δωρούμενος και τόσων πειράτων δια τους θαύμους σου πολίτευμα. Σώσον Κύριε των λαών σου και ευλογήσον την κληρονομιά σου. Νύχτας της βασιλεύση κατά των βαρβάρων δωρούμενος και τόσων πειράτων δια τους θαύμους σου πολίτευμα.
Όσον Κύριε των λαών σου και ευλόγησο που την κληρονομία σου νίκας στην βασίλα έξι κατά βαρβάρων δωρούμενος και τόσων φυλάτων δια του σταυρού σου χωρίδευμα.
Δόξα σου Θεός ευχήσιμο Κύριε Δόξα τους μόνους των διεθνών των σημώνοντας πεσχέσεις παραπράγματι επαναμόμου αγίας αυτομητός διαδυνάμει του ίδιους οποίους του αυλού των Αγίων Δόξων του επανεκούν Αποστόλων των Αγίων Δόξων και καδινίκων μαρτύρων του Αγίων Δόξου Μάρτυρος Δέσπορος που την μνήμη ευτερούν και πάνω των Αγίων λύσει και σώσει εμάς προς αγαπός φιλάνθρωπος και ρήμων Θεός. Διεκών των Αγίων Πατέρων ημών Κύριε Ιησού Χριστέ ο Θεός, ελέησον ημάς.
Morning, welcome.
Morning to everybody. It's our deep honor to have you all here today to start the next conference, the 7th International Conference on Ecological Theology and Environmental Ethics. Thank you for coming from all over the world here in our small corner of our hearts, of our streets here close to the monastery of Bonyas. Thank you so much, the Father, for the blessing, for the start of this conference. And we will start with Father Angelos. Thank you so much that you are here on behalf of the President of the Orthodox Academy of Priests, Bishop Theology. It's our deep honor that you're with us. And Father Angelos will read in Greek the message of the Ecumenical Patriarch, Pastor Domiou. And you also will find the English translation at the package of the conference. It's the first day. So, Father Angelos, please come to the podium.
Thank you very much. Welcome. Διαιρώντας Μητροπολίτη Χρυσάου και Σιρήνου, υπέρτιμε και έξαρχε Ελευθερίας Κρήτης, εν Αγίο Πνεύματι αγαπητέ αδελφέ και συλλειτουργέτης ημών μετριότητος, Κύριε Αμφιλόκε, χάρις ή τη μετέρα ιερότητη Κυρίου Παραθεού. Χαιρετίζουμε την πραγματοποίηση του 7ου Διεθνούς Οικολογικού Συνεδρίου του Ινστιτούτου Θεολογίας και Οικολογίας της Ορθοδόξου Ακαδημίας Κρήτης με θέμα Οικολογική Θεολογία και Περιβαλλοντική Ηθική, στο οποίο συμμετέχουν εκπρόσωποι εκκλησιών, οικουμενικών θεσμών, ακαδημαϊκών ιδρυμάτων, περιβαλλοντικών οργανισμών και άλλων φορέων εξ Ελλάδος και του εξωτερικού. Εν το προσώπο ημών, Άγιοι αδελφέ, συγχαίρομαι την Ορθόδοξο Ακαδημία Κρήτης για τη συνεχή και σοβαρά ενασχόληση με το θέμα της οικολογίας και δια τα σπιτήρα σχετικά πρωτοβουλίας της. Κάθε προσπάθεια η οποία συμβάλλει στην ανάπτυξη οικολογικής ευαισθησίας και ευθύνης και στην εδραίωση ενός οικοποιητικού πολιτισμού είναι ζωτική σημασία στην εποχή μας, κατά την οποία το οικολογικό πρόβλημα αποκαλύπτεται ως η μεγαλύτερα πρόκληση με την οποία ευρέθη αντιμέτωπος η ανθρωπότης καθ' όλη τη μακράν ιστορική της πορεία.
Το μέγεθος του προβλήματος τεκμαίνεται από το γεγονός ότι σήμερα δεν απειλείται μόνο η ποιότητα της ζωής μας, αλλά η διατήρηση αυτής της ανθρωπίνης παρουσίας στον πλανήτη Γη. Η οικολογική κρίση αντικατοπτρίζει την αμφισημία της ελευθερίας του ανθρώπου και τις αντιφάσεις του πολιτισμού, παρά το γεγονός ότι βρισκόμεθα αντιμέτωποι με την κλιματική αλλαγή και τις λοιπάς επιπτώσεις της προούσης καταστροφής του φυσικού περιβάλλοντος. Η γεωκτονία συνεχίζεται, τα δάση αποψηλώνονται, ρηπαίνονται η ατμόσφαιρα και η θάλασσα, λαιλατείται ο πλανήτης μας εν ονόματι οικονομικών συμφερόντων και της ανόδου του βιωτικού επίπεδου λόγω γεωπολιτικών σχεδιασμών και άλλων υπολογισμών, ενώ ταυτοχρόνως διαχειρίζεται ότι το φυσικό περιβάλλον έχει τη δύναμη να ανανεώνεται απ' αυτού. Διάρκητος είναι επίσης η άποψη ότι η επιστήμη δύναται να προσφέρει λύσεις στο αυτό το πρόβλημα. Η αλήθεια όμως είναι διαφορετική. Για να αντιμετωπιστεί η οικολογική καταστροφή απαιτείται άμεσος πολύπλευρος κινητοποίησης και κοινή πανανθρώπινη προσπάθεια. Απαιτούνται δεσμευτικές πολιτικές αποφάσεις, επιστημονική γνώση, δραστηριοποίηση της κοινωνίας των πολιτών, οικολογική παιδεία, κινητοποίηση όλων των δυνάμεων του πνεύματος. Αυτή υπήρξε εξ αρχής η θέση του Οικουμενικού Πατριαρχείου, το οποίο είναι ο πρώτος πνευματικός θεσμός που ανέδειξε με τα εμβάσεως τη σοβαρότητα του οικολογικού προβλήματος και απεκάλυψε τα θρησκευτικά και ηθικά του ρίζας. Η πρωτοβουλία αυτή της Μεγάλης Εκκλησίας είχε απήχηση και καρποφόρησε δαψιλώς. Προευλήθη παγκοσμίως πρικοφουλικών δυναμικών της Ορθοδόξου παραδόσεως, η ευχαριστιακή χρήση της δημιουργίας, η ισχύς του ασκητικού ήθους, η εκκλησιαστική ζωή ως εφημωσμένη οικολογία. Η σχετική με την οικολογία θεολογική παραγωγή αποτελεί πολύτιμο κεφάλαιο στην σύγχρονο μαρτυρία της Ιεράς Επιστήμης. Η Αγία και Μεγάλη Σύνοδος της Ορθοδόξου Εκκλησίας, η συνελθούσα κατά τον Ιούνιο του έτους 2016 στην Καθημάς Ορθόδοξον Ακαδημία Κρήτης, τονίζει την ανάγκη προστασίας της δημιουργίας εκ των συνεπειών της ανθρωπίνης απληστίας διαμέσου της καλλιεργίας της ευθύνης του ανθρώπου έναντι του θεοσδότου περιβάλλοντος και δια της προβολής των αρετών της ολιγαρχίας και της εγκρατείας. Και υπενθυμίζει ότι όχι μόνο εσημερινέ, αλλά και μελλοντικέ γενναίες έχουν δικαίωμα επί των φυσικών αγαθών, τα οποία μας εχάρισε ο Δημιουργός. Παραπέμπει επίσης στα κοινωνικά διαστάσεις και τα τραγικά επιπτώσεις της καταστροφής του φυσικού περιβάλλοντος. Η εκπαίδευση αφήνει να ενσταλάσει στην ψυχή των νέων το σεβασμό προς την δημιουργία, κίνητρα για την δραστηριοποίηση και στην προστασία του φυσικού περιβάλλοντος και ήθος οικολογικής ευθύνης. Μία εκπαίδευση χωρίς οικολογικών προσανατολισμών είναι σήμερα παροδία παιδείας. Στο πολιτισμικό επίπεδο μιας κοινωνίας δεν κρίνεται πρωτίστως επί τη βάση της αναπτύξεως της τεχνολογίας, της οικονομίας και της κοινωνικής οργανώσεως, αλλά με κριτήριο το εάν και κατά πόσον στην κοινωνία αυτή υπάρχει σεβασμός προς την αξιοπρέπεια του ανθρώπου και προστατεύεται το φυσικό περιβάλλον. Εν τη ενία ταύτη, θεωρούμε λίγαν εύστοχο και επίκαιρον την επιλογή της θεματικής του παρόντος οικολογικού συνεδρίου, το οποίο υπενθυμίζει τη στενή σχέση θεολογίας και οικολογίας και την αξία του τόσο αναγκαίου σήμερα περιβαλλοντικού ήθους, που εκφράζει μια νέα ιεράρχηση αξιών, επικεφαλής της οποίας ευρίσκεται η ευθύνη για την προστασία της φύσεως, εν αδιασπάστο συναπία με το σεβασμό της ιερότητας του ανθρωπίνου προσώπου. Εάν ισχύει ότι η ανευθυνότης απέναντι στο φυσικό περιβάλλον γεννείται μέσα στο νου του ανθρώπου και ότι εκεί πρέπει να αρχίζει η αλλαγή στάσεως, τότε αποκτούν ιδιαίτερα σημασία η παιδική και η εφηβική ηλικία ως περίοδοι ευνοϊκή διεκολογική ευαισθητοποίηση και ανάπτυξη υπευθυνότητος για την προστασία του περιβάλλοντος. Εν τη συναπία ταύτη, επιθυμούμε να τονίσουμε ότι η διδασκαλία του οικοφιλικού και προσωποκεντρικού πολιτισμού της Ορθοδοξίας στο πλαίσιο της σχολικής θρησκευτικής αγωγής δύναται να λειτουργήσει ως ευκαιρία και χώρος παιδείας, δεσμευμένης ελευθερίας και οικοφιλικής συμπεριφοράς. Με αυτά στα σκέψεις εκφράζομαι άπαξ έχει την ικανοποίηση της ημών μετριότητος για την οργάνωση του παρόντος συνεδρίου, ευχόμενη επιτυχή κατά πάνα την διεξαγωγή του, επικαλούμεθα επί μας, επί τους ελεγγυμωτάτους συζητητάς και επί πάντας τους συμμετέχοντας την σοφόδωρον χάρη και το μέγα έδρες του Θεού της αγάπης, ο Κωνσταντινούπολεος Βαρθολομαίος αγαπητός εν Χριστώ αδελφός.
Thank you very much, Father Alejandro, for this nice lecture. Now we go to the podium, the General Director of the Orthodox Academy of Greece, Dr. Constantino Kilvas.
Okay. Okay. So, yes, face. Dear participants, dear friends, coming from far and near, dear fathers, brothers, and sisters, we sincerely thank His All Holiness the Ecumenical Patriarchate Bartholomeus First, spiritual protector, the Orthodox Academy of Greece, for his important message. It is a great pleasure and a great honor to welcome you in the Orthodox Academy of Greece. Also, in the name of His Eminence Amphilochius, Bishop of Kisamos and Selinum, and President of our Academy, in the face of other articles, other singers of our diocese. Dear participants, as you know, this Anatium, the first day of September, used to mark the beginning of the Invictus, the new fiscal year. The reason for beginning the year this time was that the harvest would be in, and so it was an appropriate moment to calculate taxes. The Orthodox Church retained that tradition by marking September as the beginning of the new liturgical year, and that it is a symbolical way for our spiritual. The Ecumenical Patriarchate established the feast of the Invictus as the day of the protection for the environment. When we offer prayers and supplications for the whole creation. Every year on this day, the Patriarch Encyclical invites all Orthodox and other Christian faith to send prayers of thanksgiving for the great gift of creation, along with petitions for its preservation. I will say some words about this year message of our Ecumenical Patriarchate later. In the end of October, 2 months later, we are here in the Orthodox Academy of Greece in person, face to face, for the beginning of the 7th International Conference on Ecological Theology and Environmental Ethics. We thank all of you for your presence and of course I would like to thank not only our colleagues, Lucas Andrianos and Adonis Kalogerakis, who both have the responsibility for this conference, but also all the people and institutions who have contributed to its blessed realization. Allow me, with my ecumenical English, to make some general comments and some suggestions and proposals for the next steps of our work. Dr. Gershon Lee, chair of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, described its 6 and masters and records as a dire warning about the consequences of inaction and stating that climate change is a grave and mounting threat to human well-being and the health of the planet. Perhaps I think for the first time we have a voice of concern for the future of our planet coming from a non-religious environmental organization emphasizing totally the human destructive intervention in many levels: political, economical, cultural, and of course, ecological. The climate change is not a future crisis, but it is a current moral and material damage. Many years before, churches, ecclesiastical organizations, as the Conference of the European Churches, the World Council of Churches, and many others, all members of the civil society, have predicted and underlined with their prophetic voice the dimension of this ecological problem. Back in September 2021, our global ecological reality had grown so severely, despite the theological and doctrinal differences of their churches. The hierarchy of the Eastern Orthodox, Roman Catholic, and Anglican branch of Christianity came together for the first time in history for one joint statement to address to the whole ecumenic with a single moral voice. The ecumenical patriarch Bartholomew, the Pope Francis, and of course the Bishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, called for the protection of creation, claiming that the current climate crisis speaks volumes about who we are and how we view and treat God's creation. But I guess that we have not been able to influence our believers, especially the Orthodox, in the respect of the natural environment. We failed to convince them that the protection of the world, the cosmos, is part of the Church's responsibility and mission, holy mission, here at Orthodox. In 1997, the ecumenical patriarch Bartholomew of Constantinople used for the first time the term ecological sin. And since then, his idea has come to influence a number of thinkers, both within the Orthodox churches as well as others. The most prominent of which has been Pope Francis of the Roman Catholic Church, who cites Bartholomew in his 2015 encyclical, the most important encyclical of ecology, Laudato Si, and who in 2019, some years later, called for the inclusion of ecological sin within the catechism of the Roman Catholic Church. Dear friends, what does it mean to commit sins against nature? What exactly does sin have to do with natural environment? This all depends on how and we understand the idea of the sin. the idea of transgression, and of course the idea of law. The idea of sin is commonly to thought of as a transgression, and transgression is commonly thought of a command. Sin, in the concept of transgression, means crossing the red line, upper limits. And it was very important that this year, in many conferences here in the academy, in the scientific level, not the scientific lectures, was about limits. Who and how we can cross our limits. That's very. Of course, everyone understands the word limit differently, but this is the line with the both theological thought, the ecumenical patriarch. Speaking about the theological sin means to protect our planetary limits. Before and after the COVID period, we are facing two new big phenomena or problems. The first is the conspiracy perception of the world, and the second is, of course, as you know, the invasion of the Russian of Ukraine. The first is the theory of conspiracy. There is a perception that the world will be destroyed by the intervention of external factors, that we don't need to do anything, since the end of the world will come according to the book of Revelation. And we are told, especially the Orthodox, that the book of Revelation is a book of hope and not a book of fear. Conspiracy theories say a common thing in the way that they really, on negative and pragmatic effects, conceptualize and explain as intentional and plot plans from powerful elites against population. These hidden plans often entirely morality on point. And this is very important to say that during the conspiracy theories, it is in the high level in the European institution, especially the European Commission. And we have especially a book about conspiracy theories and right-wing extremism, especially for the Europe. And for the second point, the Russian invasion of Ukraine in February is an historical thing to the people of Orthodox Christian tradition. Unfortunately, still for Orthodox believers, the senior hierarchy of the Russian Orthodox Church has refused to acknowledge this invasion, issuing instant vague statements about the necessity for peace in light of events and hostility in Ukraine. Engaged the Russian war stand the very West, and led by United States and Western European nations, which has contributed to the very globalization, Christianophobia, homosexual rights, etc. It is very important to say, and this is also political, medical, case, that it is our conviction that no church or Christians can justify or support any form of aggression by using religious language. All to be peacemakers, Christians and non-Christians must support all initiatives to prevent conflict via dialogue, which fosters understanding and reconciliation. To cover the ecumenical patriarch's message this year, it was very important to link the war with all the consequences in our cosmos. Okay, you can see, especially in the first point, the first paragraph, the consequences for this war, the climate change, the fires, heat wave, flood, etc., etc. It's some of that also in the message from our conference. But it is very important, the second part, and I like to read this in Greek before in English. Εφήτρωση ορτασμής μετέρα προστασίας της πτήσεως συνειδητούν με την πλαγή των όπλων στην Ισπανία, με την κραυγή των θεμάτων της πολεμικής βίας, τους βομβαρδισμούς των πόλεων και των υποδομών, την συνοδεινωμένη φύση και τους στεναρμούς των προσφύγων. Κάθε πόλεμος είναι μια ανθρωπιστική και οικολογική καταστροφή. Every war is a humanitarian and ecological catastrophe. Η συνεχιζόμενη θυσία εκτός από των χιλιάδων ανθρωπίνων ζώων, τα οποία καταστρέφει και τη μόλυνση του φυσικού περιβάλλοντος, αναγκάζει κράτη και λαούς να επιστρέψουν μη φιλικά με περιβάλλον όμορφας της ασφαλής τους ενεργειακής επάρκειας. Η οδοδρόμος η ανθρωπόνηση έρχεται σε ένα νέο φαύλο κύκλο καταστροφικών αδιεξόδων. Επιβεβαιώνεται δε το δεχτέ ότι ο Homo sapiens και σήμερα εξακολουθεί να συμπεριφέρεται εκ παραλίλου ως Homo demes, ως άνθρωπος και παράπονο. Very, very important message in this year. Dear friends, the International Conference on Theology and Environmental Ethics that took place at the Orthodox Academy of Greek during the last years are an important step toward those common efforts around the world for the protection of our environment. In the same way that the backbone of the Orthodox Academy of Greek, called the Institute of Ecology and Theology, supports the ecological initiatives of the Mother Church of Constantinople and promotes the interlinking of theology and ecology. But we don't close our eyes to this dire situation now. For our part, however, we are obliged to take greater measures for the application of ecological and social consequences of our faith. It is extremely important to underline that our abuses, as well as many of our parishes and sacred monasteries, have fostered initiatives and activities for the protection of the environment in terms of education. That was mentioned also in the message to medical care for our communities. We should pay special attention to the Christian formation of our youth especially, so that it may function as an era for the creation and development of an ecological ethos and solidarity. For the initiative of the Institute of Theology and Ecology, the last 2 years, Mr. Adonis Katoriakis, head of the Institute, will talk about all this later, and especially a new project for the Orthodox Academy focus for the creation of green parishes. Distinguished guests, we are living in difficult times in Europe, around the world, marked by the security concerns, by economic uncertainty, by the refugees crisis, and of course by ecological and energy problems that are very intense. The recent disasters in Crete, just some weeks before, show that the human intervention cost human lives, and according to the experts, $130 trillion is the cost for the climate crisis. Another we're not imagining. Climate time is over. We are very close to our limits. We're living on red lines. Our planet has witnesses extreme heat waves in expensive wildfires. That means that as Christians who are not very active enough, we need more. And in the 2016, in this academy, took place the historical Holy and Great Synod, the Orthodox Church. And this synod underlined also the importance of the significance of the environment for every human being on earth, especially today. And in the message, it was very important, by the way, you can follow in English, that η σημερινή οικολογική κρίση είναι προφανές ότι οφείλεται σε πνευματικά και ηθικά αίτια. It is spiritual and moral cause. Οι ρίζες της συνδέονται με την πλεονεξία, την απληστία, τον εγωισμό που οδηγούν στην αγώνιστη κρίση των φυσικών πόρων, στην επιβάρυνση της ατμόσφαιρας, με ζημιογόνους τύπους στην κλιματική αλλαγή. Η χριστιανική αντιμετώπιση προβλήματος, Christian response to the problem, απαιτεί μετάνοια και τις κατακρίσεις, εγκράτεια, ασκητικό ήθος, που αποτελούν αντίδοτο στην υπερκατανάλωση, συγχρόνως δε καλλιέργεια στον άνθρωπο, συνειδήσεως ότι είναι οικονόμος και όχι κάτοχος της δημιουργίας. Δεν θα να τονίζει ότι οι κλιματικές δυναίες έχουν δικαίωμα πάνω στα φυσικά αγαθά που μας εμπιστεύτηκε ο Θεός. Οι απαντήσεις μας, nobody, not a nation, not a state, not a religion, not a municipality, not ecological institutions, not science and technology can face the current problems alone. We need one another. We need common mobilization, common efforts, common goals, and a common spirit. We need solidarity. Ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to your contribution and I wish you all the best. I would like to thank you all for your participation in this conference in a difficult course time around the world. Please do not feel like another intercom. Many colleagues and I will do our best to make you feel this way. It is our pleasure and an honor to be cooperating with you. I wish this conference to be a big success and you all have wanted to stay here in this beautiful corner of the volume. Thank you very much and welcome to the Academy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lurbas. Now it's time for the message from the representative of the European Christian Environmental Network, Reverend Dr. Peter Pavlovich. Peter, the podium is yours.
Good morning and welcome on behalf of Conference of European Churches and European Christian Environmental Network. As you may know, Conference of European Churches is a fellowship of churches of Orthodox, Protestant, and Anglican tradition from all over European continent. And it reminds us that care for creation is the matter of all of us. We don't need to be any more reminded impacts of climate change, loss of biodiversity, and then problems we are facing in terms of environment. All of us, and not only us, we know it all. We need to think and we need to consider together what do we do with it? How do we respond to these challenges? We need action and we need long-term effort. And this is the first thing what I would remind us at the beginning of this conference. Because this is not only a conference, one of the conferences, many other conferences which take place and will take place on climate change and creation and environment. I very much appreciate that this is part of the long term. This is already 7th conference in a row, and this is what we need. Not one-off conferences, not one-off calls. We need long-term and constant efforts. And I'm very pleased that Orthodox Academy in Crete and many of us, we try to make a humble contribution to this long-term. What has happened since we met last time, more than 2 years ago, this place? For many years, Europe was considered as conference of peace. Unfortunately, it is not anymore the case. Europe is a place of war. And this is a big change we have to take into consideration, us living in this continent and also those coming to this conference from other parts of the globe. Europe is not anymore a continent of peace. I would like to use this occasion and to pay respect to all those who cannot sit in the conference rooms and to think about important things, but who have to go on the battlefields to fight for their countries, for their homelands, and protect their countries in front of foreign invasions. It reminds us how important peace is, not only on the battlefields of Europe and other places in the world. We are not living in the peace with the world around us. We are not living in peace with nature, with the environment. And this is what we want to focus on at this conference. We were also reminded that this effort has an ethical dimension, has a spiritual dimension. If we want to find a peace with the world around us, it is not only a matter of politicians, not only a question for business. This question, this concern has an ethical dimension. It concerns all of us, and in particular, all of us as members of our faith communities, our churches, and other religions. And this is what I would like to remind at this moment as well, that more and more efforts and more engagement from thousands and millions of people. The globe is needed, and we face the growing engagement of people all around the globe. The season of creation, 1st September, has been mentioned as a moment where more and more people from churches from all around the world coming together and spend time together in thinking, praying, and worshiping in protection of creation. In 1st September of this year, and this is indeed global ecumenical effort. In 1st September of this year, an online worship service came together in one moment more than 8,000 people from all around the globe. And the figures are growing. And this is what brings hope. It hopes to bring these people together. And not only Christians, people of other faiths as well. And I would like to appreciate that conference in academy is indeed a conference where colleagues, friends from other faiths are welcome, and we can think, consider, and talk together. This is concern of all of us. I would like to thank Orthodox Academy in Crete for these efforts and the constant engagement along this line. I would like to extend thanks to the Director of Academy, Konstantinos Sorpas, to other colleagues, Antonis Theodorakis, and Luke and Vianos, as well as all other colleagues working in Academy and welcoming us so friendly. And we thank them, and we assure them that Orthodox Academy is indeed a place we like to come, and we will like to come also in the future. I wish for the coming days of the conference open minds to all of us fresh ideas and respect, which help us hopefully to come to use new ideas and to make small step forward in our efforts. Good next 2 days for all of us.
Thank you very much, dear Peter, not only for coming to this conference, but also for our crucial cooperation that we have also at Kiev. And to keep your face, open minds for the whole conference. Now it's time to hear the representative of the local university that we have in Tanya, the Technical University of Crete, Professor Alexandros Stephanakis. Thank you very much for the invitation on behalf of the university. And of course, to talk about the role of academia in all of this, in the behavior, in creating responsible citizens, especially when it comes to young people, I think we could have a separate conference on this topic. But allow me just to say a few words on how I see our role as educators, scientists, and give you some examples also what we are doing and what we are trying at least to do. So of course, a few words about our university. We are blessed to work and live in this on this place in Tanya. I think it's one of the best places to live. You can go to see it. Our university is a technical university, so we mostly have engineering schools, 5 engineering schools. I am assistant professor at the School of Chemical and Environmental Engineering. So let's say that our school is the one that is closest and works mostly on all the topics that touch environmental protection, all the global environmental issues we are facing in global, regional, and local context. So I will start with some slides that I usually show to our students, first-year students, my first lecture to them. I usually like to start with positive measures, and the rest we can later. So this is what I usually show, just to give the message that at least the way we have developed our societies, our economies, at least that something worked well. And this is depicted in this simple graph, which shows the reduction of the global poverty rate. So at least we are doing something in a good way, or in a correct way. Okay. But then comes this question. The question is at what cost? And I think you are all familiar with the cost that you have already mentioned this, so I will not go further into this, but this is how I would like to start and make them think what is the price we are paying exactly to reach this target, and if the target is wrong or the means, the way we have used to achieve this target. And this is one picture also that always strikes my mind, and we usually stay a long time to discuss this. The first picture shows that where we mostly see the cumulative greenhouse gas emissions. So as you can see, most of the majority of the greenhouse gas emissions comes from what we would say the developed world. So North America, Europe, now it's also China. But if you see also on the last picture, this is where we see most of the impact expressed as the mortality per capita due to climate change. And here you will see the majority of the impact is located in Africa. So let's start talking about what is maybe the topic of the years to come, the just transition. Is this all this development, all this growth to improve our livelihoods and level of quality of living, as you said, is worth it if this is the way we achieve it? So the global challenges we need to face, most of us are living in cities, and this is a tendency that will continue in the coming years. We have aging infrastructure. We have, at least in the developed world, we have many countries and regions without
infrastructure at all. So we have the need for more infrastructure. And of course, climate change is still progressing with all its impacts. So how do we address these challenges? Do we keep the same model of development? Do we follow the same way of doing business? Let's say the same way of the same type of infrastructure that also contributed to all these problems? And have a look at this graph. This chart here shows how many planets we will need if we follow, for example, if the whole planet would live with the standards of, let's say, North America. We will need 4 planets. If we take Europe, we'll need 3 planets. But unfortunately, as far as we know at least, we only have 1 planet. So this is where we pass to one of my favorite topics, to circular economy, sustainability, not just a few more fancy words to use, but as a new way of thinking, as a new way of approaching our problems, as a new way of finding new kind of solutions instead of what we call the linear development, the traditional decision making. So a new way of dealing with all the problems and all the impacts that our societies are dealing with. And of course, the gap to cover is huge. I think this was already the message. We know it. There is still a lot to do. And this is one picture that I found online. It was when this ship was stuck in the, where was it? In the canal in Suez. And this is the climate change that's coming towards us, and this is our response. Maybe a little bit on the pessimistic side, but I think, and at least the scientific community, the majority of the scientific community agrees that this decade, until 2030, will be the decisive one to see if we will reach these very ambitious targets we've set. And what are the problems? This is just a headline to some headlines we see from time to time about what is Europe is doing. The reaction of Europe. We see a lot of things, a lot of money, billions here and there. But at the end of the day, what is the result of all this? What is the impact of all this? So now we see more and more another package for the green transition, for the climate transition. There is, of course, a Green Deal and this very ambitious target of the European Union to become the first climate neutral continent by 2050. But if we see the opinions of the people, and especially of the young people, we will see that most of them agree that climate change is the most important problem that we face. And this is also the case, especially for young people. Just see the numbers here. So, and I see it every year as well with our first-year students. When we start the discussion, I can see there is a real interest and they want to understand. And that we already have heard some things from the youth, but their thoughts are really not structured. So this is where we come in, I believe so, and try to give them some information, to give them the knowledge to understand the problem, and also to understand how we need to act. And as I usually say, we need to talk less and we need to do more. That's usually the message. So we need much bolder actions and stronger commitments. So what we mostly and usually hear, we will hear about technology and technological development. We will hear about research and the new fantastic research outcome. We will hear about financing. We just saw the trillions, billions of euros will be invested in green technologies, for example. We will hear about some investments, but at the end of the day, it all comes to education. And the problem with education is that we do our work here, our job today, but we will see the results probably after 10, 15 years. And this is also the case with climate action. In the 1990s, the CFCs was a compound we would have in the refrigerators, was banned because we found back then that it destroys the ozone layer. In 1991, 1992. 2020, for the first time after 30 years, For the first time, we observed a 2% reduction in the ozone layer hole. So it took 30 years to see that what we did back then indeed had an impact. So imagine when this comes to all climate actions, and this also applies, of course, to education. So what is the foundation to create what I say responsible citizen, a responsible citizen towards other citizens and of course towards nature, to create awareness, to strengthen the knowledge and the skills about the natural world early in the life. So when I talk about education, it just as for us, university academics, educators, that this starts from schools, of course, throughout the educational system. And while awareness of the benefits that nature has for human health and human well-being is spreading, we still need to increase the attention for nature already in the school years, in the school education, in the curricula of our universities, have professional training. Doesn't mean that we get a degree, we get a diploma, and we are already ready to deal with all the problems. No, we need continuous learning and training. This also counts for us as educators. Of course, I don't exclude myself. And to restore this connection between people and nature. I think this is where most of the problem lies. We have stopped, we have cut this connection with nature because most of us live in cities of course we don't understand nature anymore. So the role of the university, just as a summary, how I see it, but this also applies to schools. Help young people to turn this anxiety that I see they have and other climate-related emotions into action. Provide the knowledge, provide the skills, the scientific background to understand the problems, build the capacity to manage the existing tools, the existing solutions we have, in order also to develop new solutions, as you will see. And the role of education when it comes to environmental concerns, individuals that have the highest levels of education we have seen, and there are studies on this, do indeed appear to have a better, a higher awareness of environmental problems that is more global in nature than only local problems, how all these problems are expressed in the local context. So just some examples. What can we do? So from my experience, what I usually do, I try to take the skills outside of the classroom. I like to teach in nature, and we are fortunate that our campus is located outside the city in a nice environment. We have a lot of olive trees, actually. So I like to take the students and do some lectures there. Also, the university is important to collaborate with all actors of the society, other citizens, with the local government, even with NGOs, and this is what our university is already doing. Some examples, and from my past work before I joined here at the university, and I chose particularly these two examples from the Middle East, so from Muslim countries, just to see also what is the perception and already the action taken there. So there, this is in the German University of Technology in Oman, we built what we call a demonstration, an eco house. And this was built with the students. The students were involved even in the design of the house, not just the construction. So bring principles to build the house, bring materials, even an H2A solution here to manage the wastewater from the house and to use it in irrigation. A simple example of how we can teach and make students feel involved in this kind of development of new solutions. The same also in a university in Iran. Treat the wastewater there from the dormitories where the students live. From their own dormitories, so they design, we build together this facility, small facility using an H2A system, and they are using now the water to create some green landscape around the dormitories. But it's not only this. We need, as I said, to train the trainers. We need to continuously train the teachers. So here with the university, we start a program, the Lifeline, with the Training and Lifelong Learning Center of the university, exactly focused on the primary and secondary education teachers to give them the information, the skills about circular economy, what I just mentioned before, so that they can themselves there, understand what is circular economy that everyone's talking about these days, and then they can pass it to the students and pass this knowledge to them. And what is more important, and I come to my conclusion, is some European level actions. We all know the Green Deal. I'm sure you've all have heard this. Now, the next year, comes the real deal, as the European Commission calls it. And what is the real deal? So with the Green Deal, we have the technologies, we set the targets, we know what we want to achieve, and more or less we know how we want to achieve it. But the problem is, the European Commission identified with that we didn't make people, we didn't make citizens a part of these solutions as we should have. And this is why the real deal comes, which focuses mostly on citizens' participation, people involvement, make them understand that they are part of the solution, just part that they own the solution. So I'm sure you, as we hear a lot about the real deal in the coming years, it's a new program now that starts by the European Union. And particular program also that I'm very happy that I'm part of it is what is called EU European Teams for Green. So this is a program where young people up to the age of 24, they can apply and propose a solution, an idea, an action. And I'm happy that we have already 5 of our students. So they're applying. We as professors can only give ideas or discuss the ideas, help them to formulate actually the ideas they have. And they apply to implement their ideas towards exactly raising awareness, understanding more the environmental problems. Just yesterday, another student came to me. He had the idea to create an application for car sharing in Hainan for the main touristic destinations, for the main for these nice beaches, natural environments we have. And this is what he wants to apply for in this program. So this is also something that I encourage them to do. We already have 5 students, and hopefully we will have more involved in such programs and initiatives. And allow me to close with this, as a European Climate Pact Ambassador as well, appointed by the European Commission, this is exactly our role, this is exactly what we are trying to do. So the ambassadorship is a movement, and the Climate Pact now is a movement. People, we are united around these common goals that Europe has set towards building a more sustainable Europe. And this is part also of the European Green Deal now, and we continue now as part of the real deal. And the goal simply here is to raise awareness, accelerate solutions through education, and of course, through more trainings, even from the most local context, starting from our families to our communities, the area we are living, and our workplaces, for example, like the universities. So to close, the universities and generally the whole education system, starting from the school years, plays a fundamental role in exactly creating and shaping responsible citizens, not just towards one another, people living in one society, but especially towards nature. What we need is knowledge, information, creating the skills, giving capacities, creating understanding, and also system thinking. This is one of my most favorite work, because sometimes, or quite often, we think that we are facing actually multi-dimensional problems. So the one-dimensional approach is not effective anymore. Even for us, we might think that as researchers and scientists, we have the best technological solution. And believe me, from my past experience in working also in the industry, even the best technological solution will not work if the society does not follow, if the society does not feel the impact, positive impact of implementing such solutions. So that's why we talk about systems thinking. We are not alone in this world. Multiple actions, of course, are needed by us, by academic staff, initiatives that will go outside the lecture room and the traditional way of doing lectures, and also what we lately call, I like also another nice word, the nature-based learning. And allow me also to mention next year we will host a conference of the International Ecological Engineering Society. So that goes a little bit beyond the environmental engineering, exactly because when, as ecological engineers now, we see nature not a part of the solution, as we used to say so far. We see nature as the solution itself. So the solution to the problems we are facing are inspired. So we are inspired by nature, we observe nature, we copy nature. I call this nature-inspired innovation, because sometimes even the solution itself can create a problem, can have an impact. So I'm very happy that for the first time there is an event in Greece of this Ecological Engineering Society next year in Kenya. I hope all of you are here and you are all welcome. So thank you very much for the invitation, and I hope I triggered some of the discussions for the next year, for the next days of your conference, and wish you all the success.
Thank you very, very much, Professor Stefanakis. Very important to see how strong alliances we have in this task, to have this challenge to engage the people. That's the big question today also. May I say that it was a few days ago, that it was a few weeks ago, that it was in the General Assembly of the European Academies in Spain, Malaga, and the local University of Malaga had exactly the same question, the same concern. So also how to engage the people and make them part of the solution. The Simon, the Suez finally did it. It took some weeks, but did it. Let's hope that the world should do it in climate days. And now it's time for the ECOTHEE chairman, the WCC representative, Dr. Lucas Ambianos. Please, Lucas, for the all yours.
So, Kalimera again from me. Welcome to Greece and welcome everyone to the 7 ECOTHEE. I would not talk so long as I should, because we are running out of time. But I just want to welcome you and to remind that the ECOTHEE was started almost 40 years ago in 2008, and the goal was especially to combine theology and ecology. So in extent, it was to engage the academic world to the religious world, or otherwise to call all the parts of the community to work together, because at that time we have felt already that the ecological crisis at our hands, in our door. And even if at that moment, many people were still very hesitant to believe that the climate change and climate crisis, and especially the ethical crisis and moral crisis, is an important issue. Now we are about to face already the, I would say, the worst consequence of it. Every year we can count thousands and hundreds and millions of trillions, as I was going to say before, of distractions. And I'm not only saying distractions of material words, but the creation of God, the spiritual world which was created since the beginning, is at the biggest. So I want to thank the God Creator and on behalf of the World Council of Churches, they transmit to all of us their encouragement and their prayer to continue this work, because this is part of God's call to save the humanity and the creation. So thank you again for coming from all parts of the world, all parts of the faith denomination, all parts of the research and social, economic, and theological, educational communities. I pray that this conference will bring once again good and strength, new strength in this struggle to save our fellow human beings and fellow human nature. It is not up to us. We can see that 2 years ago, we have faced the pandemic and we have all the doubts to be alive at this moment. I don't know if you remember, we have exchanged emails and say we don't know if we will have an ECOTHEE again. Some friends have done already because of this disease. And we kept to believe and to pray and to work, believing that our hope is not only on our strength, on our technology, on our knowledge, but our hope is first and foremost on the God Creator. So thank you so much, and again wish you a very pleasant stay at the Academy and fruitful conference. Thank you.
Thank you much, dear Lucas. So, give you some facts concerning the work that we're doing here in our academy. Give you also some challenges that we're trying to meet with where research and as a research and conference center. The whole philosophy of our academy is based on Plato. Sing philosophy. Philosophy together. That we're doing in this specific conference. The academy is the foundation for the common good, and our main mission is the dialogue. The discussion of the people coming all together. The importance of the dialogue is the top priority for our academy 12 years of service. The academy organizes and fosters national and local conferences. We develop educational programs, and we are research and official research center. From 1968 until today, more than 200-700 conferences, seminars, and workshops have taken place here at our academy. Most of them are international ecumenical. And back in 2016, we had the great honor to host the Holy Great Council with the strong messages regarding the environment, too. Also, back in 1998, we had the Stephen Hawking here in this same place like we are today. You can see him together with our iconographer, Mrs. Konstantina Stefanaki, at our iconography workshop during a triangular physics conference. So it was also a great event for our academy. At the same time, here we organize iconography workshops, and we do have a library, the lab. Because you are more than welcome to visit it physically while you're here, but also with the internet to the website of our library. The academy includes 2 departments. The first is the Euro-Mediterranean Youth Center Atmophilia, which has also this very beautiful theater based on the ancient Greek values, and also the Department of Theology and Ecology, in which I have the honor to be in service. This is one of the projects that we have started back in 2017. We have put photovoltaics in our academy, and actually we have the privilege that a great part of our energy, about 30% in a 24-hour basis, is green, is without adding CO2 emissions. And it was the first net metering case in the middle voltage on grid. Also, we have started pretty recently, about 4 months ago, cooperation of our academy together with the Michigan Interfaith Power and Light, Michigan State University. The question is how to bring carbon to reality of conferences. Most of you have used the airplane in order to come here in our academy. So the big question is what happens with the CO2 and the greenhouse gases emissions in order to come here? The whole idea of the project is to neutralize this kind of CO2 emissions, and with the support of the conference and of course the conference participants that they come here in our academy, our vision is to expand our current photovoltaic installation in order to be able to neutralize all the CO2 emissions of the flights of the conference participants. You can see the website of this new project. And you're, of course, more than welcome to support this idea. MIPL.org/green-OAC. It's one of the new ideas that we are trying to materialize here in our academy together with this institute. Also, we have one more project that has to do that with health and religion, together with the university from Turkey, Kaiser University, Gazi University, also institutions from Bulgaria, from Poland, from Belgium. It's an Erasmus Plus course, training for religion as a lever toward mental and physical health and respect to the other person. That's the main idea of this project, no matter what they believe. Also, one project that we run, and Konstantina later will give you more details, is the digital lab of frequent hagiography. You all know that the ideas of the hagiography is based on the environment, and the materials that you use in the hagiography is generating from the environment. So they're all correlated. And also one more project that is supported from the European Union is together with our academy, together with the Theological School of Cyprus. They have to do with advancing futurely green environments. And last but not least is a project that we run with the municipality of Platanias, and it has to do with energy by olive oil trees, tuning residues, which is also very important. Instead of putting fires anywhere just to burn the branches that we don't need from the olive oil trees, and to make it a useful material to produce energy, but also fertilizer for the soil. Also, here at the Academy, we have the Museum of Frequent Herbs, Herbarium Jacques Safran, and you are more than welcome to visit during your stay. We have students, pupils that they come and discuss the importance of our treasure, the herbs that we have in Greece. There is a very nice poster that we have. You guys know more information about it, the plants of the Bible, and we discuss about the importance of all these plants, its medical importance in our everyday life. And what is more, we had a chance to cooperate in the Academy with the working group on climate change of the World Council of Church, the WCC, and we have run a number of online seminars like this one, with distinguished speakers from all over Europe and all over the world, actually, regarding our moral duty under the climate crisis. And you can find this specific discussion that we had at the YouTube. Also, we have run a workshop discussing the social economy, conference for the energy future and energy communities, is how to engage the local people, as we have discussed previously. We started all these actions back in 2014, and we're still working on this kind of ideas. And regarding the green parishes that our director has mentioned, we put lots of effort on empowering the idea of green parishes, green communities, sustainable communities. We have the honor, we have his whole holiness, the Ecumenical Patriarch, during the opening of the St. Nicolas the Leper Church. Actually, it was the first energy autonomous parish, and the opening was October 2nd, 2018. In parallel, we have supported the idea of a local community at the St. Georgios Church in Pyrgos, and it was the 1st September 2019, also with the couple of photovoltaics that were able to reduce also their energy bills, also the cost of electricity, which is very important today. But at the same time, to give these crucial ideas to the local community to start creating their own energy communities. Educational programs are a very important part of the work that we're doing in the academy. This has to do with an interactive experimental paper recycling laboratory and say whatever theory that we want. But the important thing is the practice. As Professor Stefanakis has said, the kids, the pupils by themselves create this paper that they created with their own hands. And they also have this small model of a helicopter so that the kids can understand the basic principles of renewable energy sources through actual practice. Recycling is important in our academy. Actually, I have to point out that the pencil that we have in our conference packet is made of recycling bottles, and this is important too. So we're not successful 100% yet, to find solutions, environmental friendly solutions in our everyday life of our academy. Also composting, we're trying to also composting here at the academy to produce natural plants and nutrients. Tree planting is the best way maybe to offset the CO2 emissions. Here at the academy also we have the chance to taste the local cuisine. Also, we have this book of cooking at the WAC. You are more than welcome also to have this book with you. And also a number of research papers that have to do with the offsetting carbon emissions from energy use at the academy, discussions about the European Green Deal and the strategy about the European Commission of the Energy. The new technologies, you see the drones here, that have been great discussion here at the academy, how we can use the drones in order to support the organic farming. New technologies also with regards, but in order to be sustainable, they have to have small batteries and also we have the power that they need through renewable energy sources, which is more windmill and some solar panels. That's the whole idea. Now some practical issues regarding your stay here. The first is the COVID-19. For high-risk groups, we recommend and we advise the usage of masks and find the latest official information at this website, www.gov.gr. Wi-Fi network, we select OAK, username is yes, password is 2020. Something environmental friendly thing about the towels. Towels on the floor means please replace them. If they're hanging, means I reduce them and then I do something good for the environment. Please, it's important to use the waste paper basket, which provides the knowledge for all your disposed materials. Here at the conference hall, please don't bring any coffee, drinks, or food. Please keep the time schedule of the lunches and dinners that are mentioned at the program of the conference, because all our meals are freshly cooked and we want you to enjoy them as more as possible. After the end of the conference, about 9:30, you're welcome to continue your talks at the yard of the academy to enjoy also the view of the Cretan Sea. And here at the WAC, we have a show of Cretan souvenirs, olive oil, honey wines. Please notify our reception that we will open this small shop. In any case, if you have any issues, please contact our reception for any assistance you may need. It's open from 9 a.m. until 9 at night. And now a recommendation. If you go a little uphill inside our academy, we have the natural slope pathways. These pupils, students that they come from Germany every year since 1996, and we create this path of reconciliation, as we call it in our academy, with these beautiful mosaics. And if you get up early in the morning, the sunrise is 7:41. So before that, you'll be able to enjoy this beautiful view of the sea and the sun. So we strongly recommend to enjoy this kind of beauty, to feel the beauty of the nature. It was a few weeks ago in a conference at the Academy that we were up here and we had the chance to see the whole rainbow. The rainbow, as you all know, is the message of hope. Let's keep it in our hearts. Thank you so much for coming. Now, Academy. now the moderator is Nadia. So please, Nadia, here as we continue with the keynote presentation of one, Eco-Theology in Orthodox Spirituality from Discarnation to Transfiguration of Nature. The presenter is very Reverend Dr. Agustinus Bairataris. It's our honor to have you with you, Father Agustinus. So please, the podium is yours.
If I may ask all of you, especially the two presenters that we are having on this session, Religion, Science, and Environmental Sustainability, since we are a little short of the time, I suggest that we take some questions. First, we have the presenters, and then the questions at the end. If it is okay with you? Yeah, okay, thank you.
I beg for your mercy because of the problems with time. Conosco il tempo di scegliere, oltre a la preferita se lo smontamos, la rappo, responsabilità di chi finale, che a fiore che la chiede per conoscere che viene si da scorare ma con la prestigio o si deve para os caminhos. So I'm really honored to participate in also this working group at the 7th International Ecological Conference, which the Theology and Ecology is the Orthodox Academy in Crete. This is my first time. I hope it won't be my last. And especially, I would like to thank personally the General Director of the Academy, Dr. Dinos Orvas, and Dr. Antonios Kalogerakis, Head of the Institute of Theology and Ecology, for the invitation and for the wonderful experience and cooperation that we are having so far for these years. It's strange that even I'm not a member of the Academy, however, I feel myself like being at home. And this must be something unique, which has to do with the place, with the blessing of the place, and the French mission, which currently it has in history. So, at the beginning of my presentation, I would like to admit that probably I'm the least expert among the participants. So I will probably think from my scientific theological background, I would say that I would be more theoretical than practical. Though I would like to thank you, Dr. Stefanakis, for your wonderful presentation, and I feel very low and humble to follow you, but I will do my best. So I would like to start my presentation with a very strong, to my eyes, statement that as a global human community, we must understand that there is no any Muslim, River, or Protestant, forest, Orthodox, sea, or Catholic, mountain, and so on and so forth, since we are all one and united in this effort, and either all or none will make it, since Earth is humans' common heritage and unique ecos. Earth told us
all of us, to united action, to adopt a common lifestyle based upon the principles of justice, freedom, scientific knowledge, love, and respect for the creation. We are missionaries. We are those who are sent by God, not only to communicate the saving witness, but also to share our life by protecting our house, our plants. No matter our religious background or our Christian denomination, we are called to be co-workers vis-a-vis the issue of ecology, as has been mentioned quite a few times until now. We must move beyond our branches, developing our special capabilities, undertaking some serious actions. I have the feeling that sometimes, or most of the times, at least as Christian churches, we behave without full understanding of our own insufficiency. But rather, our treasure is our neighbor, the one with whom we must work for the grace of God to provide the growth with a full sense of our own limitations. Thus, a constant spirit of repentance and metanoia, we make our witness, and for that reason, we must be eager to change as the Spirit convicts us through the Paraclete and the world. How then can we sustain the future of the planet together when, as Christian, or if you wish, as a global human community, when we are, or at least we appear to be separated, or if you wish, we are separated? Is eco-theology a condition of status conventionis? Is there some kind of sin, ecological sin, as it was mentioned by Dr. Zorbas, the ecological destruction? Are we able to provide solutions to all the related problems to ecological crisis? Could this ecological crisis be an opportunity for a parallel and wider cooperation between humans? Apparently, eco-theology is a common call to justice and to truth. The witness of the gospel must be made before the social, political, and environmental tribunal. Christians must address the word of God to contemporary issues of justice and ecology as well, by reformulating the unchanging truth with an eye to its contemporarization. So in 1949, let's speak a little bit. Aldo Leopold offers in his book entitled Ascent County Almanac the following terminology regarding the notion of identity of creation. It's a terminology which I admire and I like it very much, so I'd like to share it with you. I think it's right when it tends to preserve the identity, stability, and beauty of the biotic community. It's wrong when it tends otherwise. Conservation is getting nowhere because it's incompatible with our Abrahamic concept of land. We abuse land because we regard it as a commodity belonging to us. When we see land as a community to which we belong, we may begin to use it with love and respect. There is no other way for land to survive the impact of mechanized man, or for us to reap from it the extended harvest is capable, and the science of contributing culture. That land as a community is the basic concept of ecology, but the land to be loved and respected is an extension of ethics. So identity of creation actually was clarified later in 1987 in Lyon by the members of the Church and Society Working Group of WCC, where we read, I quote, it refers to the intrinsic and instrumental value of each creature in its relationship to its environment and to God. In other terms, the notion of executive creation is useful actually for two reasons. First, it has given new perspective to the doctrine of creation, and secondly, because it has offered the context of justice and peace. Actually, the task of that group was to conceptualize the interaction between theory and practice in the field of society, technology, and environment, finding partners of sustainable development, which will avoid critical threats to the environment. Development is not only to be measured solely in terms of economic growth and statistics, rather development should be seen relating to the quality of life. Hans Rimstorff, the leading figure in the environmental ethics, proposed a combination of biocentric and ecocentric approaches. What matters is not only quality, but also quality. Also, the same working group declared that humans are part of a community of life which forms a singly interrelated system. In that framework, the ecumenical movement, through the activities of the World Council of Church Islam project in 2015 in Busan, based upon the actions of eco-theology and climate justice. So now I will move to my second chapter, my presentation, which is linked with the eco-theological thoughts and actions of the ecumenical pattern Bartholomew. Stewards, not appropriators of land. So the ecumenical pattern Bartholomew always respected the sanctity of nature along with the freedom of the person. However, this human freedom must be connected to responsibility toward creation. Has made important contributions to the development of an ecological Magna Carta, offering an orthodox witness in the pure modern world. He constantly encourages the faithful members of religions, and not faithful too, to behave with gentleness and love to the earth, showing the inner connection between humanity, God, and creation. He invites people of goodwill to participate in his environmental vision because he believes strongly that all people, regardless of their race, language, culture, or faith, must cooperate in order to secure a safe life on the planet, which must be saved from the abusive actions of humans. In other words, the world is not subjected to humans' desire and interest. This is actually the main message of the ecumenical pattern Bartholomew, who has devoted his life to the protection of creation. What we recognize, generally speaking, in his statements is the importance of the community against the importance of the individual. So the community comes first. The whole is more important than any part, including the human part. In other words, humans are just part of nature, although often they are understood as being apart from nature. His pioneering mind has succeeded to immobilizing, environmentally speaking, hundreds of millions of people of the Orthodox Church in and at worldwide level. He criticized the culture of overconsumption and also the limitless technological development, of which have triggered more poverty in the developing countries of the South, as Dr. Stefanakis showed before. Most of the time, the most vulnerable are the poor people who are affected by the pollution of air, land, and water. Therefore, it became clear that economics is a matter of faith and has an impact on human existence and whole of creation. Consequently, poor lands of the South have become the garbage dump of the rich and developed countries north. Moreover, due to eco-theology, the ecumenical pattern Bartholomew has managed to give a new perspective in Christian mission and a new hermeneutical context to the gospel. He has publicly spoken about the ecological justice and the integrity of creation, terminology we analyzed before. He spoke about the rights of nature and the obligation of society to protect its own ecumenical house. Earth is our common house, where all religions live under the same roof, but unfortunately in separate rooms. It seems to my eyes that the earth invites all of us to overcome the reasons for divisions in order to save the present and future lifetime of the next generation. So all people must answer to that call by building bridges of dialogue, reconciliation, and mutual acceptance. However, As long as we keep building walls and fences of self-sufficiency and self-righteousness and idolatry, we shall never manage to be truly ontologically alive due to our inhuman way we treat Earth and our fellow people. In other words, the environmental task unites us because apart from our common actions, we should learn from the scratch to pray together in agreement for the protection of the environment. Thus, it's a sign of truthfulness to God. Each time Christians act and pray together for the well-being of the Holy Man and of the whole universe. In that framework, the role of the religious leaders is extremely important because they are able to guide and influence the faithful members. Political leadership also has an equally important role to play in this matter, since it's up to them, to politicians, to decide what measures to implement. Only political will is able to bring justice and enable poor majorities to have a share in the benefits of development and participation in the decision-making process. What then is religion's role, and how do they contribute to tackling this issue? Religions look for the moral values and the spiritual background for these measures. The initial zeal will soon wear off unless religions provide society with the appropriate moral contribution justifying their right cause. Therefore, Christians must empty themselves, according to the ecumenical pattern of Theology, of their personal interests, adopting the spirituality of communion. Thus, through communication and cooperation, Christians can be led to communion, sharing the same eschatological vision of peace, hope, and love. They must also be educated spiritually to remain humble in their relationship with Earth, respecting the rules and the rights of nature. Humans are made by God to serve as stewards and priests within the created world, according to Him. And in one statement of his, he poses the question, mais qu'en est-il des droits de la terre à laquelle nous participons en dehors de laquelle nous ne pouvons exister, qui parlera au nom des ressources de notre planète qui sont singulaires et qui produira la diversité silencieuse de ces espèces? Allons nous accepter la responsabilité d'épouser notre environnement vers un point de nourriture. In other words, protecting the environment is not an option, but an obligation. Like a one-way street for humans must be the voice of the voiceless, with species protecting their diversity and their right to exist. Most of the time in Christian theological circles, the interconnection between humankind and nature is forgotten. Likewise, most of the time the heavenly elements, origin of humanity is overemphasized, shadowing the earthliness of its existence. Therefore, the global community should stop talking about humanity in an exceptional way and start talking in a relational way, since humans' uniqueness lies in the fact of their relationship with nature. Once again, the ecumenical patriarch in 1997 stated emphatically, however, if we do not change within ourselves the attitude of our hearts toward our fellow human being from an attitude of indifference or even enmity to an attitude of friendship, cooperation, and acceptance, then we will achieve nothing in confrontation of the ecological problems of worldwide interest. So all people must be mobilized, otherwise anything that one person tries to build, another tears it down. And Christian sensitivity demands an ecumenical dialogue and a wide collaboration no less. Science has important things to say on this issue because it studies and records the actual situation, determines its causes, predicts their effects, and recommends or a measure of addressing. So, the ecological crisis is a mindful phenomenon, according to Matthew Parker, and its roots are cultural, ethical, anthropological, and theological. Namely, is cultural because instead of using human creativity and capacities to deepen the meaning of returning creation to its creator, humans understood creation, understood it as sole creators of the world. It's ethical because instead of orienting human action toward a deeper naturalization of humanity and humanization of nature, humans did the opposite. Anthropological because instead of discovering what it means to be part of nature, humans set themselves apart from nature. And theological because instead of seeing creation through God's eyes, humans objectified nature up to a certain point where they no longer experience nature as a gift, but as a source of exploitation. And now I move to my last chapter of my presentation, from the sacralization of nature to transfiguration according to the spiritual. It's beyond truth that modern industrialized and economic culture gives value only to here and now. On the other side, Bartholomew states that human civilizations should stop the senseless abuse of natural resources and materials, while science and technology represent deployment of the human being's intellectual superiority for the purpose of discovering ways by which they might derive greatest possible profits. And wise development as a leading force and driving power in the value of profit, while it seems the voices of scientists who warn about the dangers of the greenhouse phenomenon threatening Earth's ecosystems are not taken seriously. Communities of cities must learn from the indigenous communities how to develop a balanced environmental ethos as an alternative to the modern urban lifestyle. According again to the mental pattern of Bartholomew, nature is like an open book, easy to be read by anyone of good will. Nature is the alphabet of the divine language which people must learn. Human needs of peace and silence to listen to creation's voice. So every living organism, every planted animal has their own story to unveil. All these forms of life are so different to each other, but at the same time, they are interconnected. That beauty of the world can change the feelings of the way humans treat nature. Having that in mind, people must abandon their arrogant and egoistic manner of abusing creation. Instead, they must develop a life of partnership and cooperation with nature. People's lives need oxygen to breathe and to remain alive. It's clear that humanity could not survive without nature, since humanity is only a part of the ecosystem. The world is not subjective to humans. Instead, people are invited to live in and with nature, which is their natural house. The Greek so-called Patriarch Bartholomew states again, the way we treat material reflects upon our relationship with God. The sensitivity we are related to earthly things shows clearly the sanctity we share for the spiritual and heavenly things. Thus, according to the order of spirituality, there is a sacred interconnectedness between natural life and the sacramental life of the Church. On the other hand, nature must not be used by theologian scholars as a means of proving God's existence. Furthermore, according to Daniel, the land is the people, the animals, the plants, and the entire earth community. unborn, living, and dead. In other words, the land is the totality of known and unknown existence. Human life can flourish within the context of a community of life. Humans live alongside the soil, water, plants, and the other animals. A new sign also was offered by Walter Bruegger, an Old Testament scholar who wrote extensively on the so-called theology of land. God does not give land to people. Instead, he gives people to land in order to care for it and make it flourish. Otherwise, God's name is dishonored. This is the paradigm of the Babylonian exile too, where God exiled the people of Israel so the land could rest them from their sins. According to Rosemary Luther, in her work Christianity and Ecology, there are two different theological perspectives which can work complementary to each other. The first type is called covenantal, which originates from the churches with Protestant biblical background, based on the notion of the covenant tradition. And the second type is called sacramental, which derives from the patristic and medieval mysticism, where the term of creation is regarded as sacred, as a place where the divine presence is revealed. To my understanding, the doctrine of loving your neighbor must be expanded to loving your neighborhood, which is more inclusive, where neighbor is included within the term of neighborhood. The neighbor and the nature must be preserved with humility, generosity, and solidarity. This message was actually delivered by the Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew in 2005 in Geneva. I quote, "We must serve our neighbor and preserve our world with both humility and generosity in a perspective of frugality and solidarity alike." It's clear that his interest in ecology rests also upon the issue of social and economic justice. Ecology is linked with economy, since both try to regulate society's life. And there's a statement which is quite strong and I like it much. He says, "The church which neglects to pray for the salvation of the earth, the church which denies to offer food and water to wooden humanity, and similarly, a society which mistreats the whole creation of God, are equals to blasphemy." This is a very strong position statement of a religious leader. 10% of the global population consumes more than 90% of the natural resources. Injustice, isn't it? It seems that humans are trapped in economic, social, and political systems that ignore natural limits. Consequently, the problems of poverty and unemployment in the wider perspective are also linked with the issue of ecological crisis. Bartholomew insists that there is an obligation to promote ecological justice through the development of eco-theology in order to formulate a new ethos and a new lifestyle based on ecological responsibility. As the global community must urgently renew its conception of life and nature, considering the material world as a divine gift and regaining a Eucharistic spirit and an aesthetic ethos. And I jump to conclusions. Our modern civilization is marked mainly by our ego satisfaction in consumption. A typical ethical approach will not solve the problem. Within the community of life, freedom is clearly linked to justice and peace. These three terms, integrity, justice, and peace, are to be recognized as indispensable dimensions of a contemporary increasing ethic. The global and at the same time a personal sense of ecological responsibility must be developed towards earth keeping. Each one of us is called to make a clear distinction between what they want and what they need. So the notion of birth giving is analyzed in the following: respect of diversity, culture, species, and traditions, sharing the benefits and the responsibility for preserving the common global goods, full participation in the decision-making part for all who are engaged, solidarity in building relationships, especially with those who are voiceless and marginalized, and sufficiency, not allowing humans greed to abuse the natural resources. So, the climate change is one of the principal challenges facing humanity nowadays, while on the other hand, human activity through its industrial development, the limitless consumerism and greed are the primary reason of Earth's warming phenomenon, as the Pope of Rome Francis declared 2 years ago. We have, dear colleagues, to realize that everything exists for something else. Everything is in a status of relationship. So the gospel reveals to us that man also advances through relationship. With the principle of mutual love brought by Jesus, humanity changes. It becomes something else and a new human society. We, generally speaking, we are not those who are in the status of dominion according to the book of Genesis, as masters over nature. So the ecological problem is quite complicated. And as an answer, the Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew speaks about the culture of the ecological reformation, which should be based on conversion and renewal of people's mindset. Metanoia, metanoia, repentance, and reconciliation are the keys to human transfiguration. So all this means the willingness to make room for the other and to open oneself to the action of the Spirit. Connectedness means the recognition that life is sustained by bonds of unity, and earthiness binds the ecumenical spirituality to the everyday conditions of life at a given time and place. So we should build the culture of giving, because nowadays we all share the culture of gaining more and more. So I think it's more or less time to learn to give and offer instead of to receive. Thank you for your time, everyone.
Thank you very much for your really profound and inspiring lecture, speech, opening speech, we could say. So I propose that we take your thoughts or questions after our next presenter, since we are a bit behind the time. So it is my great pleasure and honor to thank once again the very Reverend Dr. Agostinios Marikatoris. And yeah, sorry. And if I may keep you here, I propose so that you will be able to actually give your answers after the lecture of our second keynote presenter. If I may announce the talk of Said Masood Nouri from the United States of America. Please, the floor is yours. Our very distinguished colleague of ECOTHEE, if I may add, will talk about Masih al-Sharia, doctrine and SDGs linking for environmental sustainability. Please, the floor is yours. And thank you very much to both presenters for keeping the time track on this.
Hello, everybody. Let's give more new time before Zoom. It's my great pleasure and honor to be here with you and talk about some interface issues. The title of my presentation is about linking between Maqasid al-Sharia and SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. Let me start by these verses of the Holy Quran, which invited which one is this presentation include these parts, introduction about the importance of engaging Muslims in the global issues, including, and most of them is environmental issues. The second about Maqasid al-Sharia doctrine and sustainable development goals, very briefly, and the linking between these two issues. The verses that I prefer to start my presentation with, it's from the Holy Quran, which says, قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا إِلَىٰ كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ. The Quran invited people of book, which are Jewish, Christians, and Muslims, to gather together, to come together, and focus on kalimatan sawa, something which is common between us, about God, about something that you will see in the verse. And I want to say that one of the kalimatan sawa, what was the common concern between us is environmental issues. So it is important to talk from different perspectives, another interface perspective about this issue. And other verses of the Holy Quran invited us together and common work to bear anything good. And one meeting between two people, two grand people, Pope Francis and Grand Ayatollah Sistani, she, the leader, living in Najaf in Iraq, and it's happened 1 year ago, and it's a kind of this message, implementation of this message, come together and talk and work in a good way. So what's the importance of engaging Muslims in this kind of work? Maybe you know that, of course you know that Islam is like other Abrahamic religions, started with historically in the Middle East. But at the same time, we should be careful about the Muslims not related just in the Middle East. Based on Pew Research Center at the right now, just 20% of Muslim Muslim people are living in Middle East, just 20% of them. And others in this country, as you can see, for example, look at India, around 200 million Muslims living there. So it is so important to be careful about that. Muslim is not related just to Middle East. Okay, let me go ahead because time is another issue that you see that Muslims are in different countries. And now about Maqasid al-Sharia. And I'm going to talk about this doctrine and its relation between Islamic perspective and SDGs. Generally speaking, every school of thought, every religion started with a limited principle, limited construction for prayer, for example, every day. But during the time, because of the new question, because of some people coming to the religion, to the school of thought, a lot of questions, a lot of problems raised, and they need new answers. So slowly and during time, every school of thought and religion become more and more broad. And this is happening in Islamic jurisprudence as well. For example, in the 1st or 2nd century, a book of Aqid, at least just one value. But right now, more than 12 or 13 values. But good news is that we can summarize all these books or these Islamic Sharia in these doctrine, in these 5 principles, which are religion. It means that anything in Islamic law, in Islamic Sharia, are in the service of these 5 principles. Keeping religion, life or nafs, intellect, act, and next generation, and finally proper. So this is the whole picture of Islamic Sharia. Every single all is for one of these or more one of these 5 principles. And regarding to international law, I'm going to second part. You know that, for example, in the United Nations, in the 7 decades of its war, we have a lot of recommendations, a lot of passing with the General Assembly and other agencies of the UN. But as a summary of all of them, we can see these SDGs, 17 goals that are main focus of the UN works document. And UN, from different perspectives, or different ways, invited all countries, NGOs, academic system to support and try to gain these sustainable goals. And if you see the different way UN supported and try to publish this idea. In the first one, you can see a number of them, and maybe you can imagine that there are some kind of priority between them. But in this, you can see the better idea because they are much related to each other. No one is more important than the others. All of them are interconnected with each other. But still, we need to summarize them in these 17 goals. One idea is that we classify these 17 goals in 3 ideas. Part of them for serving the people, some of them education, the environment, and 16 and 17 is still. But I do believe there is not enough to support, to divide it in this way. My personal suggestion is that we divide these SDGs in 2 groups. One of them support the other, the higher. And both categorize we support the well-being in the ultimate goal. Is that all of these 17 SDGs work for this issue. And the relation between Sharia, maqasid of Sharia and SDGs. I do believe that they are very similar. All can work together. For example, as I told you, one of them, the first of maqasid of Sharia is related to religion, spiritual, and SDGs number I coded there, and you can see the poster that you have is related to this kind of maqasid of Sharia first. And other, for example, in and education and SDGs 4 and 9. This model can support any kind of Islamic perspective and Islamic affair to be connected with SDGs and a kind of true systematic work. One of our professor presentations is about the very important of having systematic works. And I do believe that this model can bring us two systems together. System of Islamic law, maqasid al-Sharia, the purpose of the Islamic law, and SDGs. And this could be a framework for more and more systematic works between Muslim environmental supporter and SDGs, like basic work of UN system. I try to be more summarized to have time for discussion. Thank you so much.
Now we have a time, really short. Let's take 5 minutes. We agree before the coffee break to this for both of our keynote presenters. So the floor is open for questions, remarks. But we have to warm up quickly.
We're here.
Yeah. But yes, please.
Thank you for your presentation. Because you have any suggestion for books or articles from the Islam Theological world, English or French, which is working with the connection between SDGs and Islamic theology?
Yeah, it's a very good idea. I do believe there is a kind of supporting these two systematic works together.
Do you have any suggestion for a book or an academic article?
I do believe that this could be, but it's not enough book. You know that it's published, I think, 2 years ago. And during this 2 years, we have some discussion, we have some improvement, and everybody will be updated.
Do you know what's called the name of the book?
The name of the book? I can send you. I have it, but I don't remember.
Okay, yes, please, teacher.
Thank you. Would you, or I say it in this way, that cooperation of faith communities in making steps along this line and addressing environmental concerns is increasingly important and is increasingly also visible, although we would say still not enough. Would you elaborate a little bit and would you say how would you imagine concrete steps in order to improve understanding of faith communities, let's say in a concrete ways, Islamic and Christian communities? How can we improve our understanding each other and collaboration in making steps forward?
Yeah. What in the UN visa initiative, I want to invite you, if you're not a part of it, become a part of it, is interface dialogue for peace and improvement. It is they have a gathering every 1 year, every year. It could be helpful to improve our understanding, mutual understanding. At the same time, we need this kind of gathering more and more, because believe me, even in high level of Muslim clergies don't have enough knowledge about other religions. And maybe it's for the other religious leaders as well. For example, about Hinduism, about Buddhism. We have very, very general information. We need to get closer together and understanding together more and more. And I do believe that this is why I asked Dr. Lopez that help us to bring some non-Christian into the conference. Because I know a lot, for example, from your lecture, from other lectures, from how Christian, Muslim, Christian leaders think about the environment. And maybe if we have more and more people from other regions help us to have a better understanding of them and they of us, and so it's a kind of cooperation. So we have to talk together. We have to know each other better and better.
Thank you. Okay, if I may close the door for the questions, I would like to actually ask Professor Dr. Augustinus Kantaris. We talked about, among other marvelous things, about the necessity from moving from anthropocentric view towards the view of the collectivity. But would it be harsh to say, and also you mentioned the combination of ecocentric and biocentric paradigms. So remaining now, I would put the question like that. Now to remain Christian, which is by its let's say doctrines, different ones, but still a very anthropocentric, but to become more ecocentric in the way of eco-theological restoration and theological efforts. Would it? Well, how could we do that? To move towards ecocentric or biocentric, but still to remain within our, let's say, Christian.
Yes,
It's a huge question. I know.
Yes, it's a huge question. Probably we need 6 months course to answer. But briefly, I would say that it's a different issue and topic about how it was written and why it was written, the gospel, and how the later Christian communities understood and translated and interpreted the gospel, giving an anthropocentric dimension of it. Because they, in their mindset, they put the human being on the top of the pyramid, let's say, the top of. But according at least to my understanding and to my eyes, is that the human being should act and should live as the first, as the deacon, as we say, as the servant, with all the others, not as the ruler, not as the master. So we have to rearrange, reread, if you wish, the gospel from the ecological perspective, and there's no need to rewrite. We can't do it. But we have to refresh the way that we receive the gospel, having in the back of our mind that when Jesus was speaking about salvation, it was not to direct his message only to people, but to the whole universe, to the whole creation, because, as it was said, human being is a part of creation, but he cannot save by himself. So the thing that I used to say to my students is that the ticket to paradise is the person who sits next to you. It's a journey which it's like we want to dance. We need a partner. We can't just dance by your partner. Of course, we can dance by ourselves, but it's not the same. It's so receiving the human being as part of the general picture of creation, then you can support and you can determine the right place of the human being. So we could speak of, let's see, a reading of the gospel using theological glasses or interpreting the tools of interpretation of the text. So it has to be misunderstood. I mean, I repeat it. There's no need to, and we can't write the gap gospel. No, that is not the way. But if you see the life of the desert fathers or the highly geographic, you will see there not only human beings depicted, but also the animals, plants, buildings themselves. So the whole ecos, the whole universe, the whole household has its specific place in the mystery, what we say as salvation. So having this in mind, if you take for example, the church, temple, you will see a different the use of different materials, wood, cement, plastic, glass. So it's not only one material needed to praise the Lord. So we have to see the doctrine of salvation or creation of God through a different perspective, to be wider, to be more inclusive instead of exclusive. I mean, I guess. Yeah, we need each other. And if I could answer to Peter's question regarding from my lived experience regarding the Orthodox Church with the interfaith dialogue with Muslims, they don't speak to each other. They don't talk about the two natures of Jesus Christ or doctrines, but they do share the vision of family, of educational planning, how we should educate the youngsters, how to be not gangsters, but youngsters, having in their mind how to be preachers of cooperation and of peace, of tolerance and acceptance each other. So in the Orthodox churches, leading again by the Ecumenical Patriarchate, they try to build upon general principles, having at the center of their dialogue humanity. So, for instance, they have, I guess, we have spoken about the value of family, education, of health, taking care of health system, and especially to develop, let's say, develop the educational system, citizens, people, believers who would accept each other and who would react in cases of conflict to react as peacemakers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the thank you so much, Nadia, for the moderation. Masoud, Father Agostinos, it was a really nice, actually, confirmation, I say, of both of you to hear all these nice conclusions. But we are out of time, so we are going directly to take the group photo. So please follow me right away to save some time.
Maybe it just first one is three photos and the next one another. Maybe because it's too big. Can yeah, sure.
It's fun as well.
Yes, no?
No.
Gentlemen, no.
No. Come here.
Or otherwise, are you in WhatsApp or Viber or whatever?
Yeah.
Or SMS? Yeah. It might be easier. Maybe I'll try WhatsApp, huh? Because it's, yeah. Let's go to
Junk.
yeah. No, I'll just look. We'll manage to. I have several photos I'll show and we'll go into them. Thank you. Or maybe I can do one by one, you know? I will take one by one.
So sometimes.
Yeah.
Τι κάνει το Αλεξάριος?
Είναι φίλε, κολλητή. Τι να κάνει.
Για πες με το παιδί μου, ποιο είναι.
Με το τέτοιο, πάντα Αλεξάριος να που λέει. Το Ρωμανός.
Δεν τα μπορώ.
Γι' αυτό, δεν σε θέλω να πω.
Μόνο αυτό.
Δεν ξέρω.
Όχι, δεν είναι. Εκεί ήταν ομιλίες.
Άρα λοιπόν πήγες στην αρχή, θα σταυράς αρχή. Δεν πάτε.
Ωραία. Ξέρεις όταν πας μέσα στο πρόσωπο.
Αυτό είναι λογικό. Θέλω να κάνω κάτι που ξέρω. Πόση ώρα θα πάμε.
Είχε τις 7 λεπτά να γυρίσουν. Θα γυρίσουν 12 και 10. the influence to participants of and in the end, the 50th century, in the end of the 50th century, the art of geography passed from Constantinople to Strasbourg. The original Cretan school was created in Crete, hence its name, after the fall of the Byzantine Empire. It is a historical fact that Constantinople was the greatest.
Την ώρα που ξεκινάμε σε επάνη, παίρνει η Μητρόπολη. Παίρνει η Μητρόπολη. Του Μητρόπολης πρώτη. Τι τι λέω. Λέει, το γνωρίζετε ότι δεν γίνεται σύνθεση του Συμβουλίου, αλλά βέβαια. Το έγγραφο λέει στην επαρχιακή συνοβολή πριν αποστείλει. Ο συλλογισμό τότε είναι συνομιλία στο πρωτόκολλο. Ότι στέλνουμε στην Παγκρίτια, στο Παγκόσμιο Συμβούλιο. Και θέλω να είναι αυτή και λίγο που βρήκαμε στο αρχείο, πέσαμε ότι το στέλνετε εσείς και όχι στο προθέτε εσείς και το στέλνετε. Πρέπει να συντάξω λίγο αμέσως, λίγο και την εξεντάρει ολόκληρα έγγραφο στην Αφρική που πρέπει να πρακτικοποιήσει. Πώς πρέπει και το στέλνουμε, να πετάει κάποιος όμως. Και να δεις τι είναι τη χώρα.
Ωραία, και όλοι. Χάσει και μόνο με τον άνθρωπο, ξέρω περισσότερο και με διάρκεια.
Εσύ πάνω το δηλώσουμε. Εσύ τι όλα πάνω. Να το μικροδρομεί.
Εγώ δεν είμαι κάτι φωτογραφία, θα το κάνω τετάρτη. Όχι, δεν το παίρνω.
Όταν είναι φωτογραφία εδώ στο κομμάτι και θα είναι κάπου δίπλα της, παντός δεν φωτογραφία, και να δώσω τελεία φωτογραφίες που θα δείχνει εμάς και να σας στείλει φωτογραφίες. Και το πρώτο συνδέει με τους τύπους και συμμετέχοντες του ποσό. Και το κανονικό. Επίσης, την επόμενη μας και το slide θα δείχνει την πλατφόρμα του web.
Όταν μπούμε στην πλατφόρμα,
θα καταπλέον επίσης φωτογραφίες με εμάς, τα slide και μην μπορούμε να παρακολουθήσουμε το άνθρωπο.
Τι να κάνει.
Πώς θα το βάζω σας δεν λέω και ποιος το παρακολουθήσατε.
Έχω δημοσιό, ξέρω.
Did you get the pictures outside?
Yes.
Can I have it? I asked Dr. Luke and he said.
Ποιος κατέβαλε τις φωτογραφίες, ο Αγγελής, μετά, στη στήλη του όταν
στο μήνυμα.
Please, don't worry, we will do it.
Okay. The reason is I'm putting a report of the conference in Instagram for different.
Yes.
And when you know how Instagram works, it's when it comes 1 month later.
No, please don't worry, we will do sure.
Okay.
Don't worry.
No, I'm not worried. I'm saying when it comes. It's not working as it.
I totally agree.
So, sure.
I will keep an eye on it.
Thank you.
Η πρώτη διαφάνεια είναι πολύ κρίσιμη. Μας βγάζει σε εμάς βόθους και παίρνει
ναι, σβήσει τα φώτα. Κατεβάζουμε και αυτό επίσης. Αλλά δεν θα φαινόμαστε εμείς, δηλαδή.
Θα φαίνεται, θα φαίνεται
αφού
θα κάνει πλάσιο η φωτογραφία.
I have can't help the wrong.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I think it's more common interest under the high school. Kind
Hello, this is working. I think we're going to start the session now. We'd like to keep on time because we have lunch and we apparently have a church this afternoon. I'm Dr. Alan Weaver. I work at the Technical School in Qatar. And today we have 3 presentations. We'll have 20 minutes. So, first one, slide. Okay, so why don't we start, and why don't you introduce yourself and just to take it very briefly, and again, we'll try to keep 20 minutes. Hopefully we'll have time for a few questions.
Thank you so much, dear Alan. Konstantinos Stefanaki is the iconographer of our academy, and she will give you more information regarding the project that we run, the Ideography project, which is funded by, you can see from this slide, with the cooperation between Media Suite and company, the Institute of Technology of Computers and Additions, the Institute of Computer Science Communication, and the Orthodox Academy of Greek, and it is supported by the European Union. So, Constantino, the floor is yours to give us a better idea, better understanding of this project.
Okay, dear fathers, dear participants of the 7th International Conference ECOTHEE-2022, welcome. At the end of the 50th centuries, the art of ideography passed from Constantinople to Mistras, while the regional Cretan school was created in Crete, hence its name, after the fall of the Byzantine Empire. It's a historical fact that Constantinople was a great art center all the time. It had the opportunity for Cretan painters to receive divinity influence on the development of their own style. On both idols of the Mother of God, we observe a very invited qualitative level of the painting at the 14th century. The new artistic era artists immigrated to Anglia, today's Heraklion, at the end of the 13th century, and the influence of the Western art, which was favored by the Venetian presence in the island, the trade and the growth of the rich and well-educated progress, which support the fine arts, helped the emergence of great painters such as Angelo Sacotanos, Andrea Tritos, Campanas Equitin, Michael Damascenos, and Domenico Setopoulos, Inogen El Greco, as well as the creation of a specific artistic language in the icon painting, which was described under the term the art of Cretan. The main characteristic of Cretan ideography are the darkest plasmos. We will talk about a little bit about fashioning because then we go to material. The darkest plasmos is here. And plasmos is the main color of each color.
So the darkest purple is mainly on the faces. And the two icons of the face of Jesus Christ, we notice in the left icon of the Cretan school, the purple color is used on the face and not the green as in the right icon of Macedonian. Yeah, the difference, and you can see here. And the style of the Cretan school, the sarcamos is the skin color. They are not much brighter than the proplasmos, but they are not aware of the shaded parts around and close to the sarcamos. That is why it's called the narrow style. Additional characteristic are the restrained movement, the frugality, the high-handed faces, and generally the devotion to the Byzantine tradition, which is characterized by the secret and ascetic nature. The light is now deep and seems to come from some depth, an element that puts the viewer in deep devoutness, katanasis. The Cretan style was considered the art of the monks. Information related to the social and artistic life of the painters in Venetian occupied Crete is brought to life by the stylists in the documents kept in the Venetian archive. Through these documents, valuable testimonies are preserved for the artistic activities of the painters related to the production and illumination, as well as the monetary value of the icons. After the fall of Constantinople, Crete became the central force of iconography. Their works were influenced by the late Pelagian art and dispersed elements from the Italian art. The large diffusion of icons and the fame of the Cretan painters increased the demand for their work. Over 100 painters organized in unions lived and worked in Cambria, in Iraq. Among the clients were the great Orthodox and Catholic monasteries, noble families, wealthy merchants, and refugees. Depending on the dogma and artistic preferences of the client, they produced works executed in the Byzantine style, maniera bizantina, or the Italian style, maniera italiana. An excellent example is the icon from Andreas Rizos, IHC. You can see here the I, H, and C, S, sorry, you can see S. Decryption of the crucifixion, the resurrection, and the descent into hell are combined in the initials of the abbreviated Latin inscription, Iesus hominum salvator, Jesus, survivor of mankind, the emblem of the transcendence. The crucifixion is represented in the first letter, you see here. In the letter S, it depicted two successful saints with the risen Christ, the Anastasis, the Cretan school's version of descent into hell with the raising of the dead. Small part here is the Cretan school of iconography, and the exclamation of the resurrection with Christ triumphant rising from the tomb. It is this part here. The rich iconographic decoration, the numerous stanzas and the individual forms of the portable icons that the great Cretan iconographers had painted reveal the high artistic quality of the painting, as well as the harmonic, stylistic, and iconographic principles that characterize them as the main representative of the Cretan school. Many icons in Crete, Patmos, Naxos, Ecological, the Byzantine Museum of Art, the Naki Museum, and in private collection via the Signature, here Angeli, from the hand of Angelos of the first of the 50th century. The icon of St. Angelos and the dragon was probably invented by Angelos himself. The contribution of Angelos in the development of Cretan painting in the 50th century and 60th century, and in the establishment of many iconographic archetypes, is beyond any doubt. His icons acted as prototypes and served for the production of amphibola. Amphibola is perforated sketches used to copy the outlines of an icon, sold by his father John to the famous Cretan painter Andreas Rizos. Thus, they influenced the next generation of painters. The forms established by Angelos were repeated by the great iconographer of the 16th century, Stefanos the Cretan, also Michael Damascenos, and also from Domenico Papadopoulos, El Greco, and many other great icon artists till now. On the second half of 15th century, we can admire the Greek icons of Andreas Rizos. These both icons are in the Monastery Gonias, it is next to the Academy. And the Archangel Michael is in the era here from Bolívar, King's Villa. Also, Nicolas Rizos, the son of Andreas Rizos, Andreas Parias, Nicolas Sartouris, Domenico Statokopoulos is one of these icons on Cretan School of Hydrography before he started to paint with the Western art. The main representative of the Cretan School of Hydrography is Stephanus the Cretan at the 60th century, especially for the wall paintings, who painted in Edera and Mount Athos. Michael Damascenus is one of the most important Greek painters of the post-Byzantine period. Stephanus is the most important certain iconographer of bell paintings. Damascenus was the most important mayor of the political icons. May I go a little bit back, as you can see the work here of the animals, as we discussed before. The rich heritage of the icons and frescoes, although they have suffered from natural damage because of criminality and other natural causes, highlight over the centuries the durability of the extemporary technique and the importance of using materials directly from the nature. Scientific research on the production of icons and the techniques used, and it has intensified in recent years and has become an increasingly important aspect of the study of Cretan icon. The collaboration of art historians with conservators, organics, chemists, physicists, mineralogists, agriculturists, computer specialists, and others has offered new opportunities for the study of icons. Technical analysis can not only show the pigments, the stages of preparation of the icon palette and painting of the icon, but offers empirical information which can determine the circumstances, place, and weight of individual panels. This information can refine the art historical discussion of the nature of the patron and the viewing public of the icon. The panels. The pieces of wood used was identified from 5 icons of hydrographer Anglo-Saxon, all of which presented the anatomical characteristic of Mediterranean Cyprus as high as widely available on Crete. Other factors which make it is a consistent choice for the construction of panels are its inherent strength to which the excellent state of preservation of support via fragments and other good quality. You will see here the 50th century, this is the wood panels that we use today. So you see the difference in each slide now. The canvas. The canvas is here. You see? Canvas is also here, what we are using now. The icon supporting including the frame are covered by fine decently wood with lined canvas of a plain tabby guide. The use of canvas is often sized between the panel and the ground level is common practice in the construction of Greek icons. It helps to reverse any joints, even outlets of the surface of the panel, provide tools for the addition of the substrate gesso layer, and reduce cracking of the ground. So the ground is this one here, up, and here what we are painting on. The canvas prepared for painting is several layers of gesso, a mixture of gypsum, and an animal skin glue. A varying thickness, the varied surface of all the icons have been scraped down with great care. So it's to achieve the ivory smooth ground detail to receive the paint layer and to ensure the gold shine the brilliance of gold, solid gold. The technique of icon panel, you see here, we have the wood, we have the canvas. This is the bones of a bull glue. Here's the canvas. We mold this glue with the water, we put the canvas inside, and we can use also rapid skin glue. This is preparation. On this glue, we put gesso inside, and with a brush, we put it on in different kinds of layers, and with the sandpaper, we make them very, very fine. So the design, we talked about mandibulas. You need to know, we will see it also in our Ecological platform, and we will discuss it more. They have mandibulas. It was very important for using this for each icon. And we, of course, have the sketch now on paper. You can see, we continue the same. The gilding of the icon to serve as background. The gold is in the icon, symbolize the glory, as you can see. The painting here is, you see how we prepare and what we are using. We are using egg tempera is contrary to the standard technique used in Byzantine and post-Byzantine panel painting. They use the egg yolk mixed with vinegar or wine and then with powder colors. And now, yes, and now the pigments. In the sample analyzer, pigments were found of the icon of Angelus Accontatus. Some of the powder are natural, mineral, and historical pigments that come from different depths of geological layer. The pigments come from several places of the world, and through careful processes of pulverizing, breathing, and aggregating offer the best quality to us. So I have some colors and I will show you from very face. The red colors is from cinema for vermilion and the hematitis, you can see. The yellow color is from a limonite. You see, we produce these colors. And lapis lazuli, I think we know it very well. Now it's very, very expensive, but we produce also from azurite. It's not so much expensive, the blue colors. And very fine colors is also the green colors. It's from malachite. You can see how the environment has made a very good offer for us icon painters. So, how here I show it, it is a picture from our digital program that we have for print iconography. We have the EcoMotion, the powder colors, and we mix this together to paint the icon. Now, you can. Huh?
I also would like to give you an idea regarding the online platform that we have developed through this project. Of course, it's not finalized yet, but we're still proceeding, and we'll give you an idea of the online work that we are doing. Just give me a moment.
Because the digital laboratory of print iconography presents the design and the infinite of alien complexes, you can learn here the art of the print school. Before we show it, I want to tell you that about the print school, we don't have a real handbook with all, we have the information about what kind of material we have used, because it's also from the centuries before. We have a notice and knowledge about the iconography, but we don't have a handbook that you can find all the details in once.
It has like I think you can walk in the library. Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah. It's really, yeah.
No, we have about 1 more minute left. Would you like to take some questions about the project? Should we open up the questions?
Actually, we can discuss it during we'll be here during the whole conference. So if you have any questions regarding this digital geography works that we're running, we're more and welcome to ask it during the lunches or the coffee breaks that will be.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Small groups. You encourage everyone to keep during lunches if you have a long standing question. We can have longer discussion then during breaks and lunch. Our next talk is Dr. Peter Pavlovich. Is yes, he's speaking on every part of creation matters.
Peter, can we please change? I'm after you because I have to go and teaching. Is that all right for you, Dr.
That's fine, yeah. So, Dr. Tom, would you like to come on that then? Yeah, so just a quick switch in the schedule. And thank you again, Dr. Tom, for all of your work on the previous volume of the paper. Copies of the of the recent proceedings of this conference.
Do you have your presentation in Glasgow? Wanted to save some time to upload it? No.
Just visit one.
Presentation some of my work. Also like to be terms. I'm now at what you call the College University, which is a Christian university in Norway. I was giving some information yesterday. We have about 5,500 migrant students, about approximately 600 employed. And we are striving to be accepted as the first private university. You know, university college, but we want to be a private university. According to our computation, it will come through in 2 years' time. The old establishment, forming theologian back to 1960. There used to be what's called a Norwegian school of mission at one of the faculty now, where I am taught. I was headhunted last year. Earlier I was at the Western University of Applied Science, but they actually reached out to me and asked me to come over. So they gave me a better salary, but it was easy to say. The exposure which I'm going to give you today is about Sami ecogeology. I don't know if you know the roots of the Sami, but it's actually been a discussion within the World Council of Churches and also within the Nordic churches. What can the Sami worldview bring into the ecological? That's the question. If you go back many years back, you will find documents already in 1990 in the World Council of Churches pronouncing that the indigenous, my English teacher will be proud of me. Perspective is important for the ecology. And that's been kind of taken for granted for many, many years. And also in my church, the proclamation from the council. So I would like to take a look at this thing. What is this? Is it really something which is unique for the Sami eco-theology, or is it something we are saying? The Sami people, which is living in the red part there, it's approximately 40,000 in Norway, 20,000 in Sweden, and 6,000 in Finland. It's a population, indigenous people, which have their own language, or should I say languages. We'll come back to that. But it's a minority. No. Actually, we can find trace from the Sami people going far back. You can see some pictures dating back to before Christ, 1800 before Christ. They've been in Norway for as long as there's been human. We had the theories that they came from east part, when the glacier were withdrawing 10,000 years back, and that the German tribes, so to speak, came from the south part. But this is prehistorical, so we don't know that. And you will find Norwegian which will be insisting that he was at first as German Norwegian. And with that Sami people who say he was at first. So this discussion about who was first is complicated. And it's a bit of politics in it because it has to do about rights to resources, land resources, and so on. 9 different Sami languages, actually. It's not one Sami language, it's 9 different. Then you can say E8, but there's also the main Sami language, which is North Sami. I was engaged when I was a young man, which resulted in daughter, and she's a South Sami. So I have some personal experience living with a South Sami for 2 years when I was a young man. And that was when my engagement in this question started. The Sami traditionally lived in tents, what the American would call teepee, but in Norway they call it lava, and small building with a fireplace in the middle. And much of the culture and religious expression are connected to that traditionally. So if you're going to study Sami religion, you also have to look at the ordinary life of us. Of course, the Sami has been Christian for a long time. I mean, Christianized between 1,000 years back, same time as the rest of the Norwegian, with the Catholic Church. But some of them continue to live in the traditional way with traditional worldviews, just until 1750 about. Then we had a strong missionary career with the Lutheran Church, and they kind of lost the old tradition after that state missionary period. This is a picture from one of the drones, which the secret shaman used to use, the Njoi, showing a little bit about the cosmology, how they were thinking, which God was, which wasn't, which level on the existence of different level, existence beneath the world, so to speak, down in the earth, and other existence in different level in heaven. They believe in gods and spirits, lots of different gods and spirits connected to different vocations and to different practices. I won't go into that because we don't have time. It used to show you it's really interesting domain to go into. You can study the different gods, and you have all sources. The old missionary wrote about this, the thing that they experienced. So we have some documentation going back to the 7th century. And there's also an old Sami College University, which is engaged on this sport, working a little bit like the anti-colonialism approach. which is an area where they actually speak Sami language. It's the main language. If you be my student in Norway, I will take you slowly through all of this. We don't have time for it, because that's how we're going now. The priest, the pastor, Sami people, was called the Noid. It's like a shaman. He was a meditator between the human world and the same underworld for many different kind of community problems, for how to get rich, how to get healed, if you want to have this and that goal, all things which engage human beings. We have some written sources about how he used to work, because the Noid is totally disappeared. It's been gone for 200 years. But now we have a kind of new, renewed religious movement to try to reintegrate this tradition. But actually, the old tradition is gone. But we have, as I said, sources, written sources, mostly written from missionaries, so there's a perspective on outside that. When the Christian missionaries started working intensively, of course, the Noid was seen as a collaborator with them. The missionary was interpreting all these old beliefs, all views, all gods, spirits, as someone who was working with the devil. According to one of the theology you won't meet now, it was the Lutheranism. Martin Luther himself has brought this idea with diabolic elements in potential of theology. The pre-Christian world, which used to be there, and which still exists, is that nature and life are animated with love, and will, equality, equal. Soul and body can be separated, and the soul can leave the body. The existence consists of different worlds arranged in hierarchical structure. Spiritual beings populate the different worlds. Disease is due to factor related to other worlds. Different worlds are connected, contact is possible, and shamanic techniques are taught through initiation and training. And contact with other worlds is practiced in the static mode. Well, the Sami became Christian, more or less, many of them since the 11th century. And today, the Sami are more related and engaged to Christianity than the average Norwegian. They're more religious. And they have some element in their religious and their way of being religious, but it's a little bit different from the average Norwegian. In the Church of Norway, my church, minority church, 70% of the population are member. We have also a Sami church council, was elected among the Sami, which discussed Sami question and gave also statements. And we also, apart from that, had one representative from the Sami regions in the ordinary, bishop council in a different region, where this Sami used to be represented. So, how should we find out what Sami theology is? That's not an easy question. I mean, there's not many people who just write eco-theology and which is actually Sami. I found two, and I know them both. They've been both written in the books which I've been editing in some point of my life. And I know them personally as well. One of them is actually my colleague. So I decided to start there this time. I have other ideas, so I'll continue to do this kind of analysis. This is the first step for me. This will be into. This is Diana Gentia, the man in green. He's a Sami people. He was ordained in 1978 and served as a priest for the South Sami, Ariel Sami, between 1998 and 2014. He's from a reindeer gift family. Really kind of strong roots in the Sami tradition. He was actually proposed as a candidate for bishop in the middle of Norway, but they didn't I think he would draw his Canada in the last moment, but he could actually win. He's really a popular guy. He's written one article about eco-geology. It's the land that owns the people in 2001 in a book which I published, and actually it was me myself who asked him to write out it does in Norwegian. So if you look at this book, his main thesis or the main interpretation is that everything according to this Sami worldview is as a climb and right to life, even landscape. The landscape is seen as a subject, not as a dead object. Even rocks. And there's a kind of kinship between people and animal and the lands. And this is connected to the traditional way of living with rainless, because not only the animals are important, but also the formation of the landscape. And the Sami has this old tradition, he's right about where when they come to a place, they actually ask for permission to stay there from the landscape itself. And everything exists in a close relationship to divine powers. According to the article of Gentja, the big problem now is not Christianity. He doesn't attack Christian. He's a pastor, Lutheran pastor, or priest, as we say. But he thinks that secularization is the big danger, because even the Sami is using the context of the spiritual roots. This is Kåre Johnson, the other one, which I've been reading all of his books. It's been quite productive. He has done his PhD in Scotland and written a great number of books. Lastly, just a few months, he published his PhD thesis as a book. And he's also been the head of the committee for indigenous in Geneva, World Council of Churches for many years. Really a productive guy. He's my colleague. I know him for many years. And doing really basic research, going out and interviewing people, all people, how they are thinking about nature, how they're thinking about spirituality. And this is the kind of generation which used to live without modernity, used to live in the tent and working on ski. And some of them are still alive. And he has interviewed them. I read a few of his books and articles. I include 3 articles in this, 3 books and article in this article, which I wrote about this, which I'm trying to get published. I'm not going into all the details, but what is behind? What is his main thesis? He thinks that indigenous spiritual tradition represent a fundamental ecological vision of life. And this is his claim. My claim is that by virtue of this, it can be a healthy church to dig deeper into the ecological dimensions of its faith. So he introduced the Sami worldview tradition, so to speak, to be a kind of provocation to the traditional Christian beliefs. That's one of his projects. I think that when the traditional pastors see this, they will start to reflect on how is the Christian theology founded about the relation with the animals, landscape, biodiversity, climate change, and so on. Okay. What is the resemblance between these 2 Sami theologians, since I've read all the works? First of all, I can see that both emphasize and stress the connection between nature, man, and the divine. Both theologians are more concerned with ontology. You understand what I'm saying now? You're a theologian, most of you. More concerned with ontology and cosmology than ethical practice. And both are concerned with nature having a spiritual dimension. The divine is present in nature, all living things are subjects And this must be reflected on how we think and act when dealing with non-human nature and landscape. Although the Sami Theology do not state it explicitly, they do imply what they can call a theo-ecocentric ethics. That means everything comes from God, created, landscape, animals, all kinds of spiritual existence. And it has to be respected because of that. The epistemological foundation for the Sami eco-theology are the Bible and knowledge imparted by the Sami people tradition. Indirectly, both theologians advocating listening, learning, and being in dialogue with nature. They are arguing for a more geocentric epistemology and ethics. So, how is this compared to the Church of Norway? I did my PhD study on the Church of Norway, or they're reflecting on the Ecological. 2014, I made my dissertation, and since then it's been a book. And a lot of Norwegian have been reading it. I had to rewrite it. But I found in my thesis that in the Norwegian tradition, which is going back to 1969, the ecology has been focused more and more on one model or one expression, because this is reconstructive geology. I mean, we don't find much about climate change, biodiversity, and SDG in the Bible. So they had to construct a new geology, so to speak. And they use the expression stewardship. Norwegian is forvalta and spara. But it's the same word, which actually is, as many of you know, a heritage from the economical geology. When the American preachers started preaching about stewardship, it was about bringing money into the church, which they didn't have money in the United States. They were moving from Europe. It used to be the kings paying for the church, but now they don't have any money. So they had to create a geology which motivated people to give money. And then it transformed into social ethics after the Second World War, to 1949, 1970. And from 1970, we see a movement where the big economical movement starts using this expression, stewardship, including also nature. That's a big discussion. I'm not going to go into it. But now, look at this and compare this to Sami theology with the Norwegian tradition. You see that it's a difference. Because the stewardship stress ethics, what to do. When they express relationships and ontology. And in that way, they might give you perspective and invite to a new kind of discussion, and which actually can give practical impact on the discussion as well. Because you see the Church of Norway, they are expressing themselves in question concerning well-being of humans, climate change. And they discuss about biodiversity because they reflect human beings, anthropocentric, isn't it? But this approach is different. They say that nature has a value itself. That might be that the Church of Norway now could be engaged in other issues, for instance, preserving wildlife, which never been on the table with the Church of Norway. Preserving landscape, for its own sake.
I'm trying to interrupt, but we're about out of time. I'm very clearly, I'm Norwegian, but I think. Thank you. We really don't have.
Hello, is there an operator? The mic has gone dead. Okay.
Okay, so the title of my input is Every Part of Creation Matters. Many of us in this room are far beyond this room, dealing with care for creation and the environment. We are united in the acknowledgement that what is at stake is important part of our respective theologies. And environment concerns, they are not only for scientists and politicians. They are indeed important ethical, spiritual dimensions involved. When we take this as a starting point, there is increasingly also acknowledgement, certainly among Christian theologians, that care for creation is an important part of church doctrine, is an important part of church teaching. It is not something at the end of the long list of concerns. It is an important part and strongly relevant part of Christian understanding what religion is about. Having that in mind, in Conference of European Churches, as you may have heard, you may know that Conference of European Churches is a fellowship of more than 100 churches of different ecclesial traditions, Protestant, Orthodox, Anglican, from all of the continent. We have created a group of theologians, political scientists, and we were thinking together how to move ahead along these concerns and what can we do together. We succeeded in this group in producing a document, and this is what I want to share with you. The title of the document is indeed Every Part of Creation Matters, and I would like to share with you the main conclusion of this group and main outcomes, which will be summarized in the document, which is in print. It's not ready yet, but very soon, in the course of a couple of weeks, it will be available. Why do we believe this group has certain relevance? For two reasons. First of all, the significant part of the group are theologians. So we try to identify theological points of interest and concerns, and how can we discuss from different ecclesial traditions some of the important theological points and concerns. I will come to that. And the second was that we were not only theologians, they were also political scientists. And we know that we are in Europe. European Union places quite a lot of emphasis on addressing environmental concerns, climate change, and impacts of climate change. And one of the most important policies of European Union in these years is the big policy package, which is called a European Green Deal. And the second task of this group was at least to start a discussion. How do we, as Christians, how do we understand European Green Deal? How do we respond to European Green Deal? And what our concerns while reading the European Green Deal we would like to highlight and share with others. It is not that we would say that the European Green Deal is good or bad. Certainly, there are a lot of important and good points we would agree with. But there are certainly some concerns, and we would like to highlight this concern as a point suggested for further discussion. Now, starting with the theological part of the document. We are inviting our colleagues who will read the document to the discussion, and we suggest to make this discussion in some conclusive steps. So we would like to highlight 4 or 5 key terms and topics which we suggest for some further discussion, and we would like to offer some of our readings of these key terms. The first point, which certainly all Christian theology, and not only Christian theology, we share at this point with some other religions, secondly with 3 Abrahamic religions. The first point, which needs to be discussed and elaborated in any theology of creation, is starting with the point that Bible underlines the notion of creation out of nothing. Creatio ex nihilo. This is undisputed starting point. What does it mean? First of all, it is saying that the world doesn't belong to us. We are not master of this world. If the world was created out of nothing, it means it can go to nothing, which is one of the important consequences we need to keep in our mind, especially nowadays, facing so many environmental risks. So it is not granted that this world is given, and we have certain responsibility to deal with that. Exegetical texts have been written to clarify the message Creatio ex nihilo. In comparing this message with some other creation stories or stories which describe the world and concepts, we are in Greece. Certainly, there is a Greek mythology with a different approach. There are other religions. As I said, some of the religions with similar or sharing this approach. Certainly, not all religions say that. Our task was not elaborate to complete theology of creation, Creatio ex nihilo. But in this respect, we felt as important and relevant to highlight 2 aspects. First of all, creation out of man, Creatio ex nihilo message is related to concept of gift. Creation has been given to us as a gift, and our task is to respond to this gift. So active approach to humanity in responding to God, to that gift. Secondly, we need a more nuanced reading, story Creatio ex nihilo, because we find in the Bible some notions, some passages, which makes it not so easy and so straightforward, not always. For example, Psalm 24 says, "The earth is the Lord, and all that is in it, for God has founded it." However, we have the other Psalm, 115, saying, "The heavens are Lord's, and the earth has given to human beings." It seems a contradiction, isn't it? And as a matter of fact, it is a way how to reconcile. Because as a matter of fact, we believe, and not only we believe that the earth is indeed the Lord's. And this is manifested through a specific action of humanity and specific highlighting of responsibility of human beings in here. God's ownership is demonstrated through the action of people. And we believe in our context, this is one of the important things. Second point, where does healing and redemption from social and ecological injustice begin? We read in the Bible, especially in the New Testament, that Christ leads us towards redemption and healing. And if we read these terms in this text very completely, Apostle Paul doesn't speak only about redemption and healing of humanity. He links it to creation as well. So it is not possible to speak about redemption and salvation without redemption and salvation or creation. And this is the second important point we would like to underline. In this respect, there is a lot of discussion, especially among Christian theologians, among terms like anthropocentrism, earth-centrism, God-centrism, biocentrism, etc. How do we take that? And certainly, we underline in the document, we need to, that we need to acknowledge human failure in developing a balanced relationship with the world. And certainly, some misreading of Christianity in the past is common today. On the other hand, the document argues that we need to be careful in treating of anthropocentrism. Because in the first passages of the Bible, we see that humanity, human being, was created in the image of God. On the sixth day of creation, this is the first time it is said that creation was very good. After human being was created, everything was good, and creation of human being was very good. So we need to be careful with critique of anthropocentrism. There is certainly fully justified part of it. On the other hand, we see the Bible message in saying that there is a particular role of humanity in this earth, and the healing of the earth cannot come to be without the role of men and women in taking care of the earth. So, personalistic theology. Ecological problems are not to be reduced to the problem of the earth. They are problems of our relationship with the earth. And Christian anthropology makes a decisive contribution to better understanding of the role and task of human individuals in the world. Based on the core ecological problems, the real question and the real challenge in this response is to find the response to find the basic challenges, to find the response to the question, who am I as a human being? Ecological challenges cannot be solved without looking at how to interpret human identity. The human being is defined in terms of a relationship, and it is in contrast to some previous anthropologies which have seen human being in isolation. So we underline the interrelationship between human beings and man, but also in relations to the world around us. A relational understanding of humanity serves as the background of an ethos that can be expressed with a single phrase: every part of creation matters. And this leads us to the title of our publication. For the discussion about terms which are given also in our conference already, steward and caretaker of creation. We would like to add to this discussion also the notion of priest of creation, which has been underlined by some theologians, and I would like to mention this in particular in this place, in the Orthodox Academy, and to underline the role of some of church fathers, in particular in this regard, Maximus the Confessor. This is one of the highlights of Orthodox patristic in this regard. Maximus not only sees parallels between failures of human beings and the state of the world, but he sees also how to recreate the relationship between humanity and the world and the God. And as a matter of fact, one of the things Maximus is underlining is that we need to understand, we need to learn ourselves how to read from two books. Book of what, which is the Bible, and book of the creation. And both these books has to be understood on the way to make progress. So, making sure, yes, we need to take care of creation. We can be named as stewards of God in protecting of creation. But certainly we can and should be also named as priests of creation, which is much more than the stewards of creation. And this is not only notion underlined by Orthodox theology. In Protestant theologies, and I could name all Protestant theologians, which based underline the role of priesthood of all humanity, all men and women. We have the role in relations to other human beings, but as well in relations to creation. So priesthood of all men is Orthodox tradition, but as well a Protestant tradition. So we can find a common language in proceeding on the way forward. My fifth point, creation is continuing. Creation is not final. Creation didn't just happen in the distant past. It continues into present and future. what supports, sustain, and preserve their world, and is active and in ongoing creation. And the task of humanity is to respond to this God activity. So we have to be active in responding to God, in continuing in that creation. And in this regard, one of the important questions is, what is enough for good life? What is enough for good life? It's not only about happiness. We hear a lot about being happy. Everyone wants to be happy. But this is not the core point. What is enough? It is indeed just assemble more and more and more. Doesn't make us more happy. The question is, where are the limits? Where are the limits of the earth? And we have heard even today that we are overstepping the limits of the earth. We are overstepping the limits of the world. We are overstepping the limits of creation. But perhaps we are overstepping our own limits. And we don't understand what and where is enough for us. So the question is, what is enough for good life? It's one of the principal questions in developing theology of creation. The theological crisis, the ecological crisis we face is much more than the crisis of the world. It is a crisis of our mindset. We have heard it many times as well, and we would like to underline it also in this context of our population. The theological section of the document summarizes key aspects of several theological traditions and highlights some of theological issues which, in our understanding, deserve continuing attention, further discussion, further collaboration. Against sometimes prevailing mindset around us, we believe that care for environment needs to start with indeed making our homework and clear our minds and our approach, and then we can care about real thinking about the world around us. So this is the first part, the theological part. Important, but still the first part. The second part of the document was, how do we use our theology? And what do we do with it as a next step? It is not for us, theologians. Religions is also for the sake of the world, and in particular for the sake of the world. So how do we do this next step? How do we make it clear in a broader society, in a public space? What do we mean by our theologies? And as an example, as I mentioned, we took the significant, one of the major European policies nowadays, European Green Deal. And with having the theological background, in our minds, we try to read the key European policy. What does it say to us? As you may know, the European Green Deal is a major part of policies. Making very short, makes a commitment that the European Union will be carbon neutral by 2050, so producing, so to say, zero emissions. And the aim is important in this respect. We see that many other countries have, we set a target as well, 2050 or 2060, but the European Union specifically, the European Union arranged also practical political steps how to achieve this goal. So it is a political program, step by step, how to come to 2050, not simply to wake up in 49 and saying, oh, it's too late. It is indeed something what needs to be appreciated, and we appreciate it. But still, some questions.
But we're out of time.
Very rapidly, 52 minutes. That's very good. I have 3 or 4 points which I would like to offer in this respect. First one is leaving no one behind. It needs to be concerned not only for politicians, not only for business, everyone needs to take on board, which is important, especially nowadays when we see rising prices of energies, people start to be concerned, but still in spite of that, we need, as a people, as citizens, we need to get on board, and politics needs to understand that policies might be good, but without support of citizens cannot be successful. To get everyone on board, the first point. Second, lifestyle consumerism insufficiency. How do we address our lifestyle? Is the politics the right instrument to address our lifestyles? If we see all these advertising, consume more, take more and more, how do we in this new year can reduce our consumption? Is it not contradiction? The green targets and still arguing for consuming more and more. The third is related to this one. We need to put attention on our ecological footprint and to put our ecological footprint in the center of attention. The fourth, can there be infinite economic growth, which is a basic economic theory underpinning all policies, that even if ecological targets are set, it is still, in the second sentence, policy saying, our aim is to achieve growth of economy, growth of GDP. Is it possible? Is it possible to have the infinite economic growth in a finite area? Well, the question is here, and we raise some of our concerns if this is reconcilable. Coming to the end. We believe that faith communities have an important role in this discussion. With this document, we offer our modest contribution. We believe that the ethical and spiritual dimension needs to be taken seriously in any kind of discussion about sustainable future. We believe that churches, faith communities needs to get ready for this discussion. And with this document, it is intentionally, the document is intentionally formulated as a discussion document. We underline some of our approach or outline some of our approach, some of our analysis, but we also come with some questions. And we invite leaders to a discussion. This is what we believe we need in order to clarify our minds, our sensitivities, our experiences. And I would like to end this simply inviting all of you to the discussion. I'm definitely ready to share the document as soon as it is ready, except for incumbents. With all of you, we will be interested to receive your reactions, to stay with you in discussion. And we are offering this for a discussion far beyond this room to a broad Christian and not only Christian community. Thank you.
Leave to launch, again, please direct any questions to any of our speakers during the lunch period. I believe we have a trip as well, so be an opportunity for some longer discussions. Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you, Peter. And we will expect this document. I think that we will be added value, the work that were also here in this conference, with all this multidiscipline and in the religious dialogue, which is important too regarding the article. So our packet issued at 1:30 right now, and the land is upstairs. And at 2 o'clock, please be sharp and wait for the reception in order to go to the winery, to this local winery of Pulpaitis. Okay, so please, 1:30 right now, lunch is upstairs, at 2 o'clock at the reception, we're ready to go to the winery. Okay, thank you so much. Bon appetit.
Yeah, can I get my presentation?
Maybe share